polls have closed, right?
Polls are closed. It's 7:30.
The Election Day Livestream is up.
It's time. We're here. We
Polls
went live.
are closed.
It's happening.
People are going to be jumping on here shortly.
We'll appreciate everybody that's going to be watching tonight or is going to watch this in the...
Go, Dan.
Let's go,
That's
Dan.
Right. Our audio is better. We had somebody come in. We hope it is. If it's not, let us know. For all I know, we're muted.
We drove through the pouring rain to get here tonight. Well, I did.
It's a good day.
There was like a tornado somewhere or something.
Yeah,
goodness gracious.
K-Hits was saying that there was potentially one that was somewhere between Surrey and Sawyer.
So yeah, out east of town there. It was
Noonan
like
still needs to be on the lookout.
Yep, and I think I think it was kind of dissipating now. The last I was watching a couple minutes ago.
Gotcha.
But
very good. It is here in Minot.
Yeah.
It looked like it all kind of began to settle down.
Gosh, it really came in though pretty bad. It poured itself in. It was
our technical
a
problems are not here today, as Dan says he can hear us and see us just fine. So it's a good day. We're rocking this life. Obviously, this is Election Day across North Dakota. Polls have closed in Minot. There was some prelim numbers that you were able to grab.
I did get a little fun little heads up. So first off, caveat of everything, I had my real job come up, and if we're not familiar, I just started a business, and so turning down business isn't the best move. So I took some real money today. So unfortunately, I didn't get exit polls done. However, I did get some numbers from Ward County on turnout numbers, and this is as of about 4 p.m. This is for all of Ward County. There was about 3,400 voters that had voted by 4.
Okay.
And then there was about 2,600 early voters with some 580-ish absentee ballots as well. So that's across all of Ward County. So you're looking at around
the whole county.
Around 7,000 people by 4 p.m. that had voted in Ward County out of around 50-some thousand.
Do we have any historical data to compare that to for the entire county?
I can pull it up, yeah.
Yeah, because that'd be interesting to see. If there is greater voter turnout in the greater Minot area of Ward County, obviously that's something that a lot of people have been pushing for, is that there'd be way more voter turnout. It's a big election going on.
It is.
The entire city council, the entire possible portion of the city council in Minot.
Most mayors across the state of North Dakota as well.
Got you. But in Minot did not run for re-election. And so we're setting a new direction for the city no matter what. And so obviously big election there. And so there was a huge push to get people out. We have a 0.5-cent sales tax that we're going to be figuring out if that got approved. Of course, that's going to affect a lot of people. I was talking with a small business owner today that rents and said, here's the deal. Like one of the things that people forget about, we rent. Well, I don't want this 0.5-cent sales tax.
Fair.
My rent's probably not going to go up. Property tax will probably go down, but my rent's not going to go down. And then on top of that, she's like, it's just more, it costs me more money because I have a 3% processing fee on all transactions. So the customer's going to come in and pay that 0.5 cent more, and my costs are going to go up simply because we're raising taxes.
Yeah.
So there's no benefit basically.
Business owners are the one that ends up taking some of the hit off of it too.
Yep, a little bit of the hit.
So that's an indirect one. Yeah.
Something that is not thought about in the whole process a little bit. So that was some feedback there.
So total Go ahead. I was going to say total turnout for Ward County 2 years ago in 2024 was in the primary, of course, 8,426 ballots cast.
So we're looking very similar.
Yeah, we're probably right in line, maybe looking to kind of edge that out by a hair, but depends on how many people got out to vote late, because obviously with this bad weather, it could have dampened the conditions around, the last hour and a half.
For sure. So that'll be interesting. Also, how many mail-in ballots?
580-ish across the county.
If it's a tight race, that could definitely have an effect on the outcomes there. Mm-hmm. One thing, as far as our schedule that's going to be going on, 8 o'clock, we're going to be joined around 8 o'clock. We're going to be joined by the Jared Hendricks out of Fargo. Hey. He's a representative there. And also, he tracks what's going on across the state. He's been involved in a couple of campaigns. So he's going to give some great analysis on what is happening across the state. Elections that we should be looking out for, some races that we should be looking out for. Obviously, big one that I want to be tracking today is the PSC race. Yeah. I'm really interested to see how that plays out. It seems like this is a part of the process that if you get to PSE, you're going to get somewhere else, right?
It's certainly over the last decade plus, it's been a common jumping stone.
So it's really interesting to see who gets elected there. It'll be interesting to see how well Balazs does, obviously going against Julie Fedorchak. And I don't anticipate Balazs winning, but it'd be interesting to see how much tighter he got that, because that's kind of the forecast of where the Republican Party actually sits at. There's been a lot of talk between the GOP endorsement and just going to the primary. Well, we get to see those numbers through the campaign between Fedorchak and Balazs to see where the Republicans as a whole stand on this issue.
Finally time to kind of get a little bit of a settling on where things lie in the state, on what side people are falling on. You saw Alex Balazs barnstorming the state, trying to get out to as many possible events as he can.
He ran through a transmission doing it.
Exactly. On the flip side, you had Julie Fedorchak, who was working away in Washington and has came back to the state for some photo ops and is extremely well known and very popular as a congresswoman so far. So it's going to be a very...
I think she's holding office hours now after the primary.
Fair. There you go.
So that just an interesting way that they went, even about their campaign, where they had a lot of private campaign events.
Yep.
Which each campaign can operate how they choose, but they have definitely taken a unique approach.
Without a doubt there. Obviously, Julie Fedorchak, former member of the PSC herself, had been there for around a decade herself, been in Congress now for 2 years. She was obviously challenged 2 years ago when she was running for that primary between herself, Rick Becker, Alex Balazs, who was the Republican nominee, endorsed candidate, and then Cara Mund as well. And I think Charlotte Moore was on the ballot too, technically. So very contested race you had 2 years ago. Now looking at it here, we have, it's a head-to-head race. You have Alex Balazs, who's been able to build up a lot more name recognition, but I think you're right. I think Julie Fedorchak is gonna, no matter if it's, 55 to 65%, I think she's gonna win pretty handily.
Terry with a comment: if you don't vote, you have no room to complain later. Minot needs to do way better than that. What do you think, Kyler?
Yes. I support that in full. I've been saying that for like 2 years now. We got to get out and vote. Voting numbers in Minot are disappointing. They have been for a long time. Ward County, turnout in the state of North Dakota, generally speaking, isn't as good as it could be, especially with as easy it is to vote in the state of North Dakota. So,
Producer Josh, Fallout 4 on one screen. Us, thank you.
Legend.
On another.
Appreciate you.
Started both at the same time. Good luck, fellers. Might have to, depending on how the night goes, might have to send you a link and get you on remotely.
Get you pulled up on here or something. Maybe we'll if we get bored tonight, we'll maybe just start sending it off to anyone.
Hey, if you really want to go, we can at least do audio.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we did that before. I remember that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Nobody joined. I did that without you.
You did that.
Because
we did it without.
There was this guy named Kyler that was going to run for city council. Yeah. He had this thing all mapped out. He had these issues he was going to do. He had this Reagan-esque campaign speech put together.
That was beautiful.
He had everything.
If I wouldn't have spent as much time.
He just didn't have 5 signatures. That's the one thing he didn't have.
Just a tiny
but
bit
thankfully,
short.
Kevin Burkhardt was able to get those for him.
He got me 8.
He got you 8. But
legend.
Bummer part is it was a couple weeks after the deadline.
Yeah.
You had those yourself. Like 5 minutes after the deadline.
I did. I had 12 more. It was about 6 minutes after the deadline when I showed up, unfortunately.
Actually, I want to talk about this for a minute because it's not as fresh as it once was.
Yeah. What do you asked me the question? I think last time I just yapped. You'd asked me the question.
There's one thing. That moment when you walk out or you get the phone call, how it works. You got a phone call saying your signature short?
Yep.
And where were you at?
I was pulling onto Broadway out of work at that point.
So you're on North Hill, and did you have pages that you could sign, or did you have to stop by City Hall to get them?
I should have stopped by City Hall. Instead, I went all the way home.
See, this is the saddest part. Yeah. The saddest part of the story has not been recapped properly because it was so fresh. But listen to this timeline of events after he finds this out. Dorian Waller says that they know for a fact Kyler got 2 votes yesterday.
Hey, I appreciate you.
I'm pretty confident he got more than that yesterday.
I appreciate all of you.
Pretty sure he did. But anyways, you go and you drive from North Hill down by not M&H, Quick Trip gas station to get signature sheets, right?
Quick Trip. Oh, yeah. Maverick
okay.
now, yes.
Maverick gas station to get. And then where do we go next to get these signatures?
I went to the mall.
So then we go to the mall to get signatures. And then we have to drive all the way back up.
Have to collect the signatures from the mall, first off, too.
Yeah, you have to spend time collecting signatures, and then you drive all the way up. See, this is the most bummer part of the whole thing.
Yeah. 6 minutes short, maybe
6 minutes short. But if we would have drove to City Hall, we could have got it. Could have walked around the City Hall.
I was going to say, I probably could have just went there and like wandered around downtown.
They probably had 8 people lined up for you, and you didn't even know it.
Probably could have made it work. Could have found people around the City Hall that could have done it.
Could have walked down Broadway, went to some of the Main Street books, probably had a few people, not Broadway, Main Street. Yeah. Could have hit Main Street books, could have hit some business owners there.
Instead of just going store to store in the mall, I could have went store to store down Main Street.
Yeah.
It was panic mode inside my head, unfortunately.
And the question is like, what do you do if you're in that situation? Because every person's going to react differently. And it's a crisis situation.
It was. And I was like, what the heck am I doing now?
Yep.
And hey, it's all good. I think it's, if anything, it's a blessing in disguise at this point. I wish luck to whoever gets elected tonight. They have a tough road ahead of them.
For sure. They do. We'll talk about that road. Miranda Schuler says tonight, you guys are on the big screen TV at my house.
Oh, boy. Wow. We got the big screen.
Thank you, Miranda. We'll do our best to exceed expectations. Red 5, stay on target. We're going to try. Yeah. We're going to try to hold up to your username. I know for a fact that Kyler got 2 votes yesterday. So these facts are rolling in. That's 4 votes.
Say at least one more, too.
Wait, this is, okay, they may have commented on both Facebook and YouTube because the comments exactly the same. I'm showing Zach Lutz has some incredible number. Yeah, I'm showing 28,000 ballots cast in Ward County in 24 on that Indy Secretary of State. So let's get some verification from our resident election expert. And Angel Dog, I'm reading full-on usernames because it's way more fun. I feel like a quarterback. Angel Dog 4895. Blue 42.
He's calling plays.
4895.
Jonathan's all hyped up. He's on.
I wrote you in.
Oh, I appreciate
all
you
that
guys.
to say, I wrote you in.
See, that's why you guys are the best. That's why I love doing this.
Kyler may still have a chance. What's your goal, Kyler?
To have fun.
He's not going to stay at school. He has a goal, but we won't say it. All right, that's cool. All right, 8 o'clock, we're going to have Jared Hendricks. Right around 8 o'clock, we're going to have Jared Hendricks jump on. We kind of talked about this earlier today, but I want to jump back into it. Kyler, are you ready for this? Key races throughout the state that we should be watching.
Heck yeah, I can pull you off on this. Obviously, District 3 is the first one here in Minot.
District 3. So how is this actually going to go down? So we have this primary going on.
Yeah.
The only contested part is on the House side. So we have one incumbent. It's a really weird race.
It is.
Because you have one incumbent. You have Representative Jeff Hoverson. You have newly endorsed Crystal Hendrickson. And then you have governor-backed.
Tim Mahalik and
back
Blaine
could be too strong, but
governor endorsed
for sure.
Financially supported.
I don't know about that, or I guess we do know about that, but I wasn't trying to use back could come across too strong.
Fair. That's
but
fair.
He definitely endorsed, and he got some of that governor money that was sent out, and that is Tim Mahalik and Blaine DeLauriers.
Yep.
So that's a really interesting race. Obviously, we've seen this stuff go on throughout the state. We get to feel this locally. We get to see how this affects. Of course, District 3 is a district that has gotten a lot of attention because some people have said that it's been they haven't agreed with some of the votes that have been made.
Sure. And I think a large portion of why you see that was from Jeff Hoverson, who, better or for worse, has done a good job of making a name for himself in the legislature, along with his former constituent, Lori Van Winkle, who was just gotten out this year as well. She was not endorsed at the district convention this year and chose not to run for the open seat. So she is out of that. And those two themselves, especially two years ago, there was a lot of smoke that got raised with them. They've done a great job serving in the state. And I think it's going to be a really interesting point to see now how you have Jeff Hoverson, who is Crystal Hendrickson is such a new person to this whole situation. It's going to be interesting to see how she gauges, especially against Tim and Blaine, because they're both well known, but in wholly different ways than like on the political circle.
Yeah.
Compared like where Jeff is. So you have the I don't know, populist side. What are we gonna the conservative side of the Republican Party, and who have been governing and leading the districts across pretty much the majority of the state.
I mean, they've been broken down for better or for worse. They're terrible terms, but the ones that have been used the most are grassroots and establishment.
Fair. Yeah, just for the most layman kind of terms that you can get for it. And so when you look at this here in Minot, which has been historically over the last 20 years a very conservative place, it's going to be a really interesting time to see where this directly lines up head to head.
So do you see Hendricks basically? Well, here's the interesting thing is in the last time that Hoverson was in this same predicament, they were, I believe it was Roscoe Striley that was the person that was running against them, and it ended up being Lori Van Winkle got him fairly comfortably, and Hoverson was the one that was sweating votes. It was just
like 13 or something. It was under
20 votes that separated him and Striley. So in this go around, do you anticipate Hoverson being a shoo-in and Hendrickson struggling, or other way around?
I think the closest one is, and who knows how I'll be doing gauging this. We'll find out an hour and a half from now, hopefully. But I think Hoverson is the closest thing to a shoe-in as you can have in that one. But
see, that's interesting.
I don't think I would call him a shoe-in. I would say he's the closest to one.
But the other thing, I think, the other question is, do you break up the ticket? Because it seems like if you vote for Mahalik, you're probably voting for DeLawyer. So how does that work in your mind?
I think that's how the most people are going to end up voting. You're going to vote in one way or the other with the ticket. Most people, I don't think, are like me, where they pick one from each side.
Or you just pick one.
You don't
even vote for the second one.
That's a thing too, yeah.
That happens. Miranda Schuler asked, maybe I missed it, but did you do exit polling results?
Miranda, I'm sorry. I didn't get enough.
You didn't miss it. We did.
I didn't get enough numbers to make it valid. And
how many numbers did you get?
I got like 20. I didn't get enough.
We should at least see those. It can be. We can call it a survey. It's still be interesting.
I can pull it up. Yeah, I can pull it up.
All right. So there was a comment that was made by Zach Lutz. We actually, our resident election specialist, did actually get this. So we pulled up the primary 2024 primary election results, Jack. So Zach, I just called you Jack on accident. Zach, we pulled up the 2024 primary election results. These were from June 11th, 2024. And that's when 8,426 ballots were cast out of 52,920 eligible voters in Ward County. 15% got out and voted, 15.92%.
So close to 16.
We're hoping that maybe we can exceed that, but it doesn't sound like it'll be exceeded by much.
Yeah, so one interesting, just looking at these numbers again from 2 years ago, Julie Fedorchuk just got a little over 3,000 votes in Ward County for about 44% of the vote. I would very much expect to see that number. I would, assuming we have, 7,000 to 8,000 people voting in Minot again, or in Ward County again, I would expect to see her get at least 4,000 votes, I would think.
Yeah. Zach, yeah. We looked at primary versus general. Okay, very good. So key races to watch throughout the state if you care, and then I want to actually go deep into, because we'll have 10 minutes left after this. I want to go deep into the city council.
Sure.
I want to go deep. I want to go into like the direction the city council is going to head.
Yeah.
After this election, but I think the two races that I'm watching is District 7 and District 15. District 7, of course, is one that gained a lot of attention throughout the state. You have Michelle Axman and Rick Becker. I think those are two people that headline the state. I've heard rumors, now probably not from great sources, maybe they're just rumors, but down the road, Michelle Axman could be one of those people that gets anointed as a potential governor option down the road. So someone that is definitely been very active. And then Rick Becker, of course, has been very active in politics, even though he has not been serving as much the past few years. So that's a very interesting race to watch. You have the, again, GOP indoors versus governor back going on and all that stuff. So that's interesting. Another
really interesting one, too, is District 31, which is south of Bismarck and the Mandan, like down into like Sioux County down there. Yep. That one you have Mary Grainer, who's from Beck TV, has a show on there, who's running against the incumbent Don Scheibel, who has gotten the endorsement from the governor, but you also have a contested House race going on down there between Dawson Hawley and Karen Rohr, who are the incumbents, but they're being challenged by Jim Schmidt and Kevin Remington. Schmidt was the one who beat out Hawley 4 years ago, or who Hawley beat out 4 years ago to get in that seat in the first place. And
Gotcha.
Dawson Hawley's like 23 years old.
Yeah.
This guy's incredibly young. He's like a dairy farmer down from there. And
Done a lot of great things
very, very interesting.
for dairy farms.
Yes, specifically he had.
Yeah, that's his meaning.
Yep, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that one plays out too, because I don't believe the governor has picked one side extremely strongly in the House side with that, from what I could gather. Maybe I missed it, but
makes sense. The District 15 race. This is near Devil's Lake. You got incumbent Senator Kent Weston. Kent Weston, we've worked with him a little bit on our Dunseith debacle stuff. Yeah. That was some interesting connection there. Representative Kathleen Freelich and Representative Donna Henderson. They have support from the district. Newcomers Kristen Kinner and Corey Kinner are challenging them. And
is that a married couple?
Yes.
Okay.
They are. Kristen Kinner is a retired dentist, and Corey Kinner recently retired as VP of Admin Affairs for Lake Region State College. And they said back in April they hope to bring a sense of normalcy back to the Indy GOP instead of the more extreme views. So that's a very interesting race that has been happening on there. It got a little bit. There were some mailers that were sent out, and
there's some controversy that went on with that.
Endorsed candidates were out apologizing for the mailers that were sent out by a third-party PAC, Citizens Alliance. So there was a bunch of stuff that went on.
And you've seen just in general, we've seen a lot of mailers, information being put out from Citizens Alliance around North Dakota this year. I know I can probably find a text message from them on my phone from the last day or two. But one other really interesting one that I don't think many people have talked about, that's because it's not for a full term. It's the only even district in the race this year, and that's District 42 in Grand Forks.
Okay.
This one is last year Emily O'Brien left that House seat, and it was Dustin McNally that was appointed. He's also endorsed by the governor. Well, you also have Connie Ozowski, who is the endorsed candidate of the district. Then you also have Ethan Harsel, who is running as a Republican as well, who's been very active politically the last couple of years. He's much younger. He's probably in his early to mid-20s, probably around Dawson Hawley's age. So very interesting combination you have going on there between an outsider in Harsel, who's been just out pounding the ground, knocking a ton of doors. I've been able to follow his campaign a little bit. And then Ozowski and McNally, who are fighting over the incumbency versus the governorship endorsed side versus the district endorsed side. So I will really want to see how that one plays out too, especially because it's only a 2-year stretch.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, before we touch the Minot Council race, there is a plethora of mayoral races happening throughout the state. Williston, Minot, Bismarck, Fargo, all have their mayor races happening tonight. So be on the lookout for those results as well.
Feels like the mayor race, it will be interesting to see how close that is in Minot. Mm-hmm. But the race that has gripped Minot more has been the city council race.
Undoubtedly.
Of course, let's go through these candidates. Leading the charge. I don't know who leading the charge is.
Well, we'll start with Joan Hawbaker. She was the first to get in.
There you go. Joan Hawbaker, been somebody that has stated from the very beginning, she's going to be very physically conservative. Mm-hmm. She was running when the whole deal with Sunset Boulevard went down. Of course, there's not really much remaining on that after the developer or the owner decided to go his way with it, but said she wouldn't be for supporting something like that getting paved, and that you got insights to how she would begin to vote and govern, if you would, from the council. So very fiscally conservative, though. It is something that I would say stands out from her.
Yeah, that's one of her big sticking points is going to be out there. She's going to be a watchdog for the people, trying to help spend money wisely, try to be a person that wants to be a caretaker for Minot's money.
All right, so the next I'm going to go to Isaiah Keller because we have broken these into segments. Isaiah Keller kind of fits into a similar mold, also very fiscally conservative, and somebody that has had some opinions on flood control.
Yep.
Although when he came on, he did kind of have a more probably appropriate view for those things. So also another interesting candidate from the conservative conservatively fiscally side. I can't talk, but anyways, he wouldn't mind lowering property taxes even further, which is something that is a huge discussion right now as we figure out whether or not we can provide services that we currently keep. All that discussion that has been brought up by many people.
Much younger candidate too. Isaiah is.
You like that?
Well, he's
mid-30s.
Well, compared to a lot of what we've seen, there's a wide breadth this year. We have Eric and Nicole as well, but Isaiah's had some controversial stuff pop up around the block, and I think he's done a really good job running his campaign at the end here, especially.
John McMartin, somebody that came in late, one of the latest people to jump into the race, but one of the biggest names in the city, although in the survey results that didn't really affect there. It'll be interesting to see how many votes he gets. There's a certain part of mine that shows up. We saw it in the special mayor election where Janser won in a landslide, and that still has a potential of showing up where they wouldn't necessarily even vote on a survey, but they are going to show up at the ballot box.
That silent majority type in Minot almost. And I think we used that term last fall when we had the mayor election kind of come out, because we thought it was going to be, I mean, we saw the exit polls and some polling data showing Janser ahead, but I think we thought it was going to be a little bit closer than what it turned out to be in the end too. And I think that's what you could see with McMartin coming through in the end as well, because he had 32 years as the Minot Chamber of Commerce EDC chairman. He's done a ton with economic development in the town. Obviously, another big buzzword here. John McMartin is going to be someone that if he does get elected could come in right away and probably be pretty efficient. I can't imagine he would have a massive learning. Everyone does. You don't know what you don't know getting into that position. But having worked at least alongside council for the better part of 30 years, I think he could step in right away and probably be pretty competent.
The other one that kind of fits a similar mold is Nicole Brassfield. Somebody that...
Also another younger candidate.
Insurance agent background. As well as formerly worked for the Ward County Sheriff's Department. So very unique background, and we may still have a couple of the dogs here.
Some blues somewhere in here,
So, but good candidate, solid candidate.
Made a lot of noise with her campaign coming out of the situation coming into the situation here as well in June now. Nicole's been, I think, has run a very good campaign coming into the into this point of the month, and I look forward to seeing how the campaign's going to turn out there too.
For sure. Then we have Dr. Stephen Padragula, one of the more experienced people, 16 years on council, broken up throughout the last
20-some years.
20-some years. So one of the more experienced candidates coming in, obviously has high name recognition, also gets out and knocks doors, did that over 4,000 doors knocked. He came out the highest in our survey results. Kyla won't even let us know like a little bit of his poll results, so I'm not sure, but
But Dr. Padragula did do very well in the former survey, and he did well in this one too. But this one's skewed. I'll say that for a fact. It's skewed. It's skewed.
It's skewed, but
there's a lot of others in here that I don't think is necessary. So going off of that, Dr. Padragula has some of the highest name recognition. Obviously, like you said, having the 16 years of council experience, he would be the one that could step in day one and be able to probably have a seamless transition back into the role of the council.
A couple comments as we still have two more candidates to hit. I think Isaiah's, this is from Zach Lutz, 96. I think Isaiah's biggest hindrance to his campaign is the pack he is positioned with, even with the stories. I think without that tie, he fits a lot of the views of his constituents. This is a fair point.
It is. And I have a furthering point of that too. So that pack, had a billboard up today, I saw, and it had their candidates on it for mayor and city council, but it only had Josiah Royce and David Wiley,
So it's the interesting stuff that went on over there. We have Eric Locken. He jumps into this was a difficult one. I don't know that he's as close to, I feel like Dr. Stephen Padragula probably has his own views and Eric has his own views, but we were kind of trying to figure out if you voted for him, who else are you going to vote for?
Sure.
And I felt like you'd probably vote for Eric. And that was what was weird. Kind of our whole deal with the twos is like you can find two people that you'd probably vote for, but who's the third?
Yeah, who's going to be that third person on your ballot going forward?
And that's the weird part because that's what's going to make really weird night of election results.
Yeah.
Like it makes it where you really don't know who's going to get elected.
100%. And I think Eric's been out doing as much as he can around with the city itself too over the last couple weeks. I know he's been going with a bunch of departments doing tours and everything.
Yeah, he was out doing it today.
Exactly. And then we have Dave Wiley, who is associated with that PAC again. And he's run a very conservative campaign as well. He's gone out and had a very similar viewpoint to where Josiah's come from. A lot of constitutional principles that they want to that they've been going after and trying to get as much people to hear them as they can.
For sure. So we it's 8:00. So technically, there are some votes that have already turned in.
Some stuff is starting to trickle in, I assume.
Starting to happen, but nothing worth writing home about. Lastly, we got David Wiley.
Yeah, he was the one that was running that conservative campaign with Josiah. Gotcha. Yeah, they wanted to expound those conservative principles, and I look forward to seeing how their results turn out. As we have our first guest, it looks like
for sure we do, and we'll also finish up some comments as we go there. But yeah, we're going to be going to our guest. Well, give us a minute because. Yes.
Also, I'll say this real fast here while we're sitting here. There's some very, very, very early preliminary numbers starting to come in. And as of right now, this is less than like 1,000 votes cast across the state. The constitutional measure is winning about 2 to 1 right now. In yes votes, Fedorchak is beating Balaz by about 75 to 20 or about 78 to 22. Levi Bachmeyer is winning with almost 2/3 of the vote for superintendent of public instruction. Then you have Kringstead and Haugenhofer both leading the PSC races. But again, this is with like 500-600 votes cast as of right now.
Very good. Finish up comments and then we'll go to our guest. Zach Rack 9376 says, plus 15 viewers at the Stars Valley Dem NPL watch party. Thanks for covering Minot and Indy politics, gents. Thank you, Zach. And yes, he also mentioned, despite the storm, I'm sure that did mess with a few watch parties. Zach Lutz, I've seen Stephen P. referring to Pajagula everywhere. I got a mailer in Rugby. That is an extensive campaign for our Minot City Council. They're chasing your vote.
Hey, one way or the other, right?
Carolyn says a really good point. Some may have only voted for 1 or 2 council candidates, even though 3 seats are open, and she is over there somewhere in the virtual world raising her hand. Somewhere also in the virtual world, somewhere in a apartment in Fargo or a house in Fargo, or maybe he's in I don't know where. But nonetheless, we have a bookcase and we have Jared Hendricks. Thanks for joining us. Sadly, we can't hear him.
Oh no, Jared must. He's on us.
Okay. Sorry about that. That was me.
You know what?
I was just saying the bookcase is there to make me look smarter.
Yeah. Well,
I feel that.
We're just thankful that you're one of the limited editions from 1983. So nice hat. Results are starting to come throughout the state. What are some of the expectations that you have on some of the statewide races?
Well, I know here in Fargo, it looks to be pretty decent turnout, and we'll see if that holds up across the state. You know, we saw a couple of years ago in the primary how widely disparate the turnout was in certain parts of the state. So, you know, you might have extremely low turnout, and if I memory recalls, I think, like, for example, Grand Forks was really low last time. I don't know if that'll be the case this time, but then you had some of the western counties were extremely high, and some of that's just behavior of people in rural communities. There's a lot of things that go into that. But, you know, the really interesting thing, at least within the Republican Party in this cycle right now, and I know you guys kind of characterized it as sort of establishment versus grassroots. And
you can change our words,
please.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I would simplify it as the big money versus the people, because that's the most stark dividing line there. I mean, you have most of the candidates who are, in some cases, incumbents, although not in every case, but certainly the ones that are backed by the governor, the ones that are seen generally as more quote unquote moderate, however you want to phrase it. There's a tremendous amount of money behind those individuals, and most of the money comes from lobbyist PACs. It comes from people in and around or connected to people in industry, connected to
Yeah.
government or to those organizations. And then you have the funding supporting the grassroots candidates, which, if you look at the reporting, seems to just come from regular people, business owners in the community. And so that's not to alone say that if somebody gets a check from something that they're automatically a bad person, but the dividing lines are extremely stark. I mean, we haven't seen it that stark in a long time. So that's the way I phrase it. But sure, you could phrase it establishment versus grassroots, or establishment versus some people like to say traditional conservative, whatever that means. I mean, conservative has changed over the decades of what that means,
Yeah.
versus populist, which is usually the populist term is used as sort of a derogatory term, but the irony of that is, populist means it's popular. So I think
Yeah.
that's
Sure.
maybe not the best word to use as a negative.
This is fair. This is fair. I think one of the interesting races that that I think is interesting, Kyler might not, I think he does a little bit,
A
but
little bit.
is the PSE 2-year term. You got,
Can I mention on that real fast? Interject. We have about 3,000 votes. I am, anyways. I'm doing what you do to me. We have about 3,000 votes in on that race right now, and Jill Kringstead is up by about 17 votes right now.
so it's a tight one.
Very, very tight race to start with about
And we have one
5
write-in.
counties in.
We have one write-in.
Hey,
So that write-in, hopefully they are able to get a couple more votes. But Jared, this is a race that you've followed along a little bit as well. Feedback on this. How does this play out, and what does this mean?
Yeah, well, I want to be very transparent to everybody. Full disclosure, I am helping Chris Olson's campaign as a consultant, so I want to be transparent about my bias there. So I'll try to put on two hats. Maybe my hat is my own opinion, but then more objectively. And so obviously I'm biased for who I want to win. But I think that so far we're seeing in the numbers, and granted, this could skew widely depending on which counties come in, and we don't have Cass or Grand Forks or Burley in, and where the urban centers goes. I mean, this could change widely. So, but right now, and I'm looking at the same numbers you guys are here, I mean, it is neck and neck. And I can tell you, I personally have always thought it was going to be fairly close. We
Right.
had polling from about a month ago that showed it was tied. And so
Wow.
the internal polling. So I've always thought that. I would suspect that maybe the conventional wisdom amongst political circles, quote unquote, establishment, if we want to use that term again, probably didn't take Chris very seriously. Maybe they started to when they saw that he was actually doing a good job raising money. He was working very hard. Again, I'm a little biased, but I just saw how hard he was out there working. And this is a guy with a full-time job, family of 5 kids and a farm and a ranch and a whole bunch of other things going on. And he was out hitting the trail pretty hard. So I always thought it was going to be pretty close, but we'll see how close it is when these bigger counties come in.
I guess, why is PSC important?
That's a great question. Well, everybody turns on their light switch and the light comes on, and
Okay.
there's a lot that goes into it before that power comes through to the light. And the PSC regulates our railroads, pipelines. It regulates the power utilities and the transmission lines, and a lot of things in the periphery there. Deals with land reclamation after you do coal mining or any other type of project like that. So it's very important. It's not something that a lot of people sort of innately, intuitively understand the way they do, like governor or Congress or Senate, whatever.
sure.
But it touches every area of your life, and
Right.
so it is very important. And the thing that was also really unique about this race is that you typically, over the last few decades, most of the people in those positions have either been people in government or people from government, from within maybe the bureaucracy or appointee positions or what have you. And then in the case of Chris, what's very interesting is here's a guy who's a power plant operator. He's worked in coal mines, he's a farmer rancher. He's really kind of a blue collar guy, and has come out of the industries that this Public Service Commission regulates.
Right.
So, and from everybody that I've talked to who's been around for a long time, they've told me this hasn't happened in decades. that we've actually had somebody from those
Interesting.
industries that they regulate running for that position. And the fact that it looks like it's, at least so far, pretty close, I think that tells you that people value that real world experience. And of course, they also do value the insider connection. I mean, his opponent has been in political circles. She's an accountant in the department. Um,
Right.
by all accounts, I'm sure very knowledgeable on the financial side of how it's run. So you really have a very stark difference there between like sort of a real world experience and then experience within government.
So then a question on that is, it seems like we talked about this before you came on. It seems like out of this PSC position that people get placed high up in the Republican Party out of it. Well, is this kind of the stepping stone that you go through in order to earn your rights to be representative, like Julie Fedorchak or even Kevin Kramer? He spent some time there as well, right?
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Some people see it that way. It's they're staggered, they're 6-year terms, and of course, in this case, it's a 2-year term because it's
Right.
filling Julie Fedorchak's position, from which Jill was appointed into by the governor. But normally 6-year term, and yes, it does seem like it's maybe a picking grounds of statewide candidates for other positions. Maybe there's other people that have served in that role, and I imagine that's all the ambition they've ever had. So we'll see. But yeah, it's a position that unless there's a real controversial project, it doesn't get tied into some of the
Right.
drama or even in state government. So, but yet these are people that get statewide name ID and they're on the ballot. So it gets a lot of coverage.
Moving to some district races throughout the state, what is maybe the top three that we should be paying attention to? We've talked about a couple, but I want to hear your three.
Well, yeah, bellwethers, I guess. And I'll first say I don't necessarily have a lot of insight on the ground in all of these because
Yeah.
I haven't been that involved in all of them. So in some cases, I'm just on the outside looking in. But I would say, first of all, more generally, I'll make 3 points that are kind of truisms when it comes to campaigns. Might sound cynical, but it's just true that more often than not, the candidates that raise the most money win. That is generally true. And again, if we talk about that grassroots or big money versus the people, the breakdown is very stark. And so conventional wisdom says that a lot of those quote unquote establishment candidates are much more likely to win for that factor alone. Um, However, what's interesting about this cycle is that the other two truisms are that incumbents generally win, and also that doors are the most effective way to reach and persuade voters. So even though you have a very lopsided on the campaign finance side situation, in this case, in a lot of cases, the big money people are running against incumbents who have established name ID. And also, it does seem like, although this is kind of anecdotal on my part, I can't prove this, but just from talking to people around the state, it seems like your more conservative candidates in general are doing much better at the door to door canvassing. And
Sure.
so it's a question of how is that going to balance out?
Right.
I guess it's a long way of saying a couple of races I think are bellwethers. I mean, District 7 in Bismarck obviously is. I mean, the governor's really put a lot of his full force behind that race. And of course, Rick Becker's highly well known quantity in North Dakota politics. I suspect Rick wins. I think it's maybe a flip of the coin for the other seats. Again, I'm not on the ground. I haven't been involved in that campaign. So that's
Yeah.
just my outside looking in. I don't
Right.
know. Um, you know, District 15 is another really interesting one just because of the background there with the court case and the redistricting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your audience probably knows a little bit about. I suspect all the incumbents win there. I actually think certainly the Senate seat and probably Representative Freilich, I think, win pretty handedly. I think it could be a little closer for some of the other candidates. Um, and then District 13, I think, in West Fargo is a real bellwether race. There's been a lot of money raised by both sides. Again, conventional wisdom, your incumbents raise a lot more money, and they're well established. But my understanding is on the ground, between the signage you see and between the doors, it's been extremely competitive. So
Mhm.
I mean, again, we could always be wrong. It could be a landslide one way or the other, but my gut suggests it's probably going to be pretty close.
Very interesting. We did get an update on some vote totals. Looks like Chris Olson has snuck ahead 2,678 votes to 2,640.
Just neck and neck race right now. That one could end up being that way most of this night. But like Jared said, I think it's going to be really telling where a lot of those urban centers decide to vote or sway on that race.
Yeah, it will be. Do you think this race will be determined tonight? Or do you think maybe mail-in ballots will have a factor in it?
That's a good question. Look, I'm just looking at the same numbers. I mean, how close it is. It really could. If it's this close all night, it could come down to, heading into the canvassing boards and even the next period of time here. Hopefully not as long as California.
Well, it's
But
funny you mentioned that. Is that possible what happened in California? No, all right. So this is a tough position. I'm not one that goes and chooses to disbelieve election results. The only part that's weird to me is how Karen Bass also received no votes. That's weird to me. How she stopped receiving votes.
Mail-in votes.
Mail-in votes, yes. Mail-in votes. She got very little mail-in votes. That part was weird to me, but that's the only thing that really was weird.
yeah, and I guess I have no expertise in California election law or how
Ah,
their
come
elections
on.
work, but just
Cop out.
it is a cop out. But no, I'll say this: the challenge with election, even if we don't say fraud, but
Yeah,
irregularities,
right.
that there's a lot of things that are possible, but it doesn't mean that they're happening. And
Exactly.
it doesn't mean that they're not happening, because that's the problem. Is sometimes it's very difficult to actually prove one way or the other. Um, if you have complete, very partisan control of an election system, meaning from sort of the top to bottom, the election officials, the people that work at the polls, the organization, access to the data, is it theoretically possible to pull off some major effort like that to
Right.
funnel in ballots that maybe shouldn't be counted or things like that? Yes, it's possible. Doesn't mean that that's happening, as opposed to California simply being very liberal and Los
Right.
Angeles being very liberal and a candidate like Spencer Pratt just not being popular with the electorate. I don't know. I actually, at least at a glance, well, first of all, it's California, so anything's possible, man.
Yep.
But I'll say at a glance, I would, in some ways, look at it, the results as encouraging that Spencer Pratt did as well as he did in a city
Right.
like Los Angeles. I mean, I been busy on North Dakota stuff, but I actually watched the mayoral debate. I mean, the guy just crushed it, and it's, I think that he even might have a future down the road outside that city, because there's other parts of California that are a little bit more Republican than that.
For sure. Yeah. And I think one of my favorite campaign moves that he did was where he went to some of the dirty streets of LA, evidently. I don't know. All I get to see is pictures. And he got a stencil, or his team got a stencil, and they pressure washed into the dirt his campaign slogans and stuff. And it was stuff like, if you elect me, this street will actually be clean. I thought, hey, it doesn't matter what side you're on. That's just kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He had some good viral moments, and he really was able to stand out. So
So,
yeah,
a great,
very
great
interesting.
question here by Megan Urban for you. Why is it that more money raised can result in a win? I always hear money wins elections, but don't fully understand why.
Well, it's a very good question, and the answer is pretty simple. I mentioned earlier that going door to door, interacting with people is the most effective way to reach voters and persuade them, and that is true. But the problem is, it's a math problem. No matter how many doors you knock on, it is almost impossible to reach. Obviously, you're not going to reach every person. You're not even going to reach necessarily as big a number as you want to in most campaigns. So the reality is, most candidates are going to hear about you through advertising. And the only way to reach them and to break through all the noise of everything everybody's exposed to on their smartphones day in and day out is to raise money and reach them. So it's just a reality. We are, unfortunately, gone are the days where, you know, uh, the average Joe could put up a couple of campaign
Yeah,
signs and knock on a few doors and win. It's just not going to happen. You have to raise a significant amount of money. I mean, even in my own legislative race, I raised $100,000, and I did not want to have to do that. I could think of better uses, curing cancer or something like that for uh, for donating that kind of money. But
right.
I also knew that I had to do it or I would have gotten drowned out.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be cutting to interview with the Ward County State's Attorney candidate, Andrew Schultz, here in Ward County. One last question for you, though, before we do jump there, and then maybe you'll be able to come back on later tonight as well, because we want to keep talking to you about North Dakota stuff. Is the Alex Balaz against Julie Fedorchak. Of course, we're starting to see results there. And right now, Julie Fedorchak is winning basically 3-1, 75% to 25% around numbers. What does, as you see those results coming in, what does that kind of tell you as kind of maybe a bellwether, as the word that is typically used, of where the Republican Party sits?
Well, she's obviously been on the statewide ballot for a long time. She has extremely high name ID. She's raised a lot of money. And, I would say, to be fair, many people might have disagreements with how she's voted on some things. I haven't agreed with everything, but there hasn't been any extremely outrageous controversies with how she's voted. I think where most North Dakota, especially Republican primary voters, are. So I think that made it difficult for really any challenger to latch on to, a big anti-Julie message. And now I will give Alex a lot of credit. I've been kind of a hermit the last few months, actually, but the few places I've gone out to events, I've seen him everywhere. I mean, the guy's really
Right.
worked hard, just sort of the traditional retail style, going to events, shaking hands, and he's done so. I mean, if he ends up tonight with whatever this ends up being, I mean, I'm looking maybe 25%. I mean, that's very little from money, and that's all from retail grassroots campaigning, which is, impressive in its own way. I'm sure that he would like to see a much bigger vote total, but it's just the lopsiding of the money there, and the name ID is just a real major problem. But I think, Alex, who knows? I mean, Kevin Kramer ran in the 1990s and won on his third attempt,
Yeah,
and you never know what future he might have.
absolutely. He's been getting progress every single time that he's ran. Jared, thanks for jumping on. If you want, you can stay on. We'll do this or however you want to do it, but we'll definitely be trying to hit you up again more as the night goes on.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. All right, well, back in studio, we got a guest with us. We do have a comment that we'll read before we jump to the
Can you
guest.
hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you too.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's like Verizon is working today, so it's not a bad day. Any updates, please? And this comes from, because we're reading full usernames today, Angel Dog 4895. So all we have are statewide races right now. Ward County is notorious for making sure that we stay up till 9:30 or so, and then just getting a huge dump. But we are refreshing as much as we can to hope that we have numbers.
Only about 5% of precincts across the state of North Dakota have reported in so far. We've got about 11,300 votes cast, which is not a terrible number, but you're still looking at a lot of room to cover across the state.
And Chris Olson is almost 1% ahead right now
Wow.
of Jill. He's 50.42 and she is 49.5.
Well, I'm looking at Kyler's screen here, and they all appear to be rural counties. So when those urban districts come in, that'll be interesting to see the jump there.
Like,
Absolutely. You are fantastically right. Fargo is going to tell a lot, and Grand Forks is going to tell a lot as well as Bismarck. So be interesting to see how that plays out. We are joined by Ward County State's Attorney candidate, Andrew J. Schultz. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
yeah, it's going to be a great. It already is a great night. It's election night.
It's it's a primary election. It's not the final general election, but it's still an expression of democracy. It's the people in action. I love it.
And so if I understand this right, and I'm probably wrong, because typically I'm just wrong about everything and I just talk. He breaks things, I'm wrong. So Ward County State's Attorney is this weird deal where you get to run twice?
So because it's a county race, there's a primary and a general in case more than one person runs. And it's a weird thing because it's a county race. Top two move on to the general, but there's only two of us running.
Right.
So we're both moving on to the general.
You're guaranteed a spot.
Yeah, but as I said, I mean, it's an election day. You've got to respect that. So you get out and do the work.
So what do you as these numbers come in for you, which we haven't seen any yet, but when they start coming in, what are you going to take away from, if you get more votes than Chris Nelson, or if you don't, like what are you going to take away from that?
Well, for me, it's a barometer for how well the message is working.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll take away from it. And if I come in second here, it just means I've got to dial that up. Try to reach out to more people, let them know what I'm about. If I come away with a primary win, then it's a demonstration that what I've been saying has been reaching people, and they believe too. So that's either way. I mean, there's no way the campaign stops today.
Absolutely, absolutely. We sat down, had a wonderful interview. We'll probably do another interview with you if it happens, and with Nelson. But as you've jumped into this race, you've begun to campaign. You've talked to people. You've started to wear out a little bit of rubber off the bottom of your shoes. What are some of the feedbacks that you're getting? Yeah, you check to make it still there.
And check the tread real fast.
What is some of the feedback that you're starting to hear?
I'm hearing a lot of what I would call focused irreverence, a lot of focused anger, I would say.
Really?
Sometimes you end up with a plea agreement or something that doesn't really sit well with folks,
Right.
and that's what they tend to just hold on to and want to talk about that. But a lot of times it's a matter of picking up a newspaper or checking out Minot Whiners and Complainers and seeing what's going on there. This is the case of local government. When they're doing everything right, you don't really hear about it.
Right.
So in a situation like that, where it's, well, yeah, I can understand, and as cases come up on a case by case basis, I think what voters really want to know is, what perspective are you coming from? And mine is always try to say, well, this is what I think is fair. This is what I think should happen here, and try to move forward with that. And I've been fortunate enough to talk to a lot of people where we tend to share a lot of those values.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's fair. When you're getting kind of a sense for where Minot's elections are going, you able to kind of gauge where you think that's trending, specifically the citywide ones.
Oh gosh.
Now you're getting brutalized.
I know.
Well, I'll start off by saying I was a political science major in college, so I don't think I'm completely unqualified to talk about city council race. I will say I liked very much Nicole Brassfield's comment about wanting to have leadership at the city level, like Chief Fry. He came in. He's doing a great job with morale. He's looking out for his officers. He's building those great relationships. So I appreciate that Nicole said that. I really like that Eric Locken has taken all these tours with the city departments. He's definitely been visible. I like very much Isaiah Keller talking about wanting to revive the Mayor's Committee on Addiction. So I would say if somebody is your candidate, or even if they're not your candidate, you can say, all right, I know something that they stand for that I'm good with. I would like to see that put into place. But I think what you all were saying before is right on point. You seem to have these almost like these, John, I think you called them segments, almost like branches. Okay. And a couple of people are on each branch, and it comes down to, who is that third vote going to be?
Right.
So I think it's about, not necessarily what camp a particular candidate is in, but how wide their umbrella reaches across the other camps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to some degree, and some will severely disagree with that, but to some degree at the city level, you want that a little bit. This is a partisan position, and so being able to reach across having a
proverbial eye,
a wide umbrella is something that maybe is a little more effective at the city level.
And I think the comments that we've heard, especially from Joan about being a fiscal conservative, Dr. Padragula about being experienced. I mean, these sorts of things, they're perspectives that we can all appreciate. Obviously, we don't want to waste money spending things, and we would like to have somebody come in who can start off with a level of competence. So there's, like I said, there's something that you can admire about each candidate. And I'll say this too: all of these people who are running for offices, they don't strike me, and I've had conversations with just about all of them, but they don't strike me as the type who are just going to go away.
Yeah.
Right.
they're going to be around because the things that they say, they actually believe them, and they think that the city can be better as we move forward. Um, and they're going to continue to advocate for those things. So no matter what the election turns out to be tonight, whatever their results are, I don't expect any of them to just walk away.
Right.
That's for
Which is
sure.
good. We need more engagement. We need more involvement. Well, last question for you. As you enter the next step of your race, what are some of the things that maybe we get to see from Andrew Schultz in his Ward County State's Attorney race?
Well, I'm going to be walking around so much, knocking on doors. I'm hopefully going to lose a few pounds.
Love a race.
But I mean, it all comes down to, North Dakota is retail politics.
Yeah.
You have to reach the voters where they are. So it's about visibility. It's about name recognition and saying things that are on your mind that happen to be in line with what people believe and what they hope for. So that's what you can see out of me in the coming months.
I love it.
Absolutely. If somebody wants to sign it, they're still available.
Yes, I have plenty of signs. I will say I appreciate the Minot attitude that on election day you take your signs down.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that. So maybe there's a rest period over the summer.
Yeah.
But as we start getting closer to that,
For sure.
first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, you'll see some of those go back up. But yeah, I've got signs out the wazoo.
When it starts getting cold and the threat of snow come back, you'll see some Andrew Schultz signs.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I love the saber dogs.
Saber dogs,
Too.
very cool.
Yeah,
A throwback there.
Well, I left work today and I was still like really fancy dressed from work,
Yeah,
so
you
it's
should've
it's
seen
just go Saber Dogs.
Yeah,
So-
go Saber Dogs. Not bad. Not bad. Hey, no tornado either, so everything's going all right.
It's a win.
It's a win. It's a win. Well, thank you for coming on today.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
AJ.
thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, again, we're continuing our election night coverage. So far, we've had Representative Jared Hendricks from the greater Fargo area. We've had Ward County State's Attorney candidate Andrew Schultz. What's going to happen next? Well, I don't even think I know anymore. But we will continue to update on results first. We'll go to the comments though. Angel Dog 4895. You need to get in, Andrew. That is her thoughts. Zach Lutz 96. Charles Tuttle at 14% for superintendent of public instruction is far above what I have expected this far, which we're not that far. No, it is a great point. That's a race that we hadn't even looked at. This is a nonpartisan race at the state level. And now we have more votes, so we'll see what this is. Another interesting one is Justice of the Supreme Court with Jared Tuft is ahead. Charles Tuttle is staying at that 14.5% mark. So he's staying pretty consistent there, which is pretty interesting that he is maintaining that. Kyler's waving at a camera, but he's not on camera.
I'm not.
We'll probably just keep him off for a little bit longer.
I jumped the gun.
But let's also jump back to the one that we've been watching, and that is the Public Service Commissioner 2-year term, and Jill Kringstead has jumped back to the lead. Now she has more of a commanding lead at 4%. Of course, still very tight race with around 600 votes separating. But we see a little bit of Burleigh County starting to come in, and that is going in Jill's direction, which you would expect.
I got one thing that I think it's you might not like it, but I think it's okay at this point because I thought he was going to have a lot more rural support than it's kind of showing up so far, and that's Alex Blaz. It's right now sitting at a 72-28% split. I think
He's gaining.
He has a little bit. He was at 24, I think, earlier or something, and I think we're at about the point where we can probably call that one and a couple others too, frankly. One that
Tyler just wants to call elections.
I do. I did
he wants
a
to call
couple years
way
ago. I
early.
wanted to. I have, one that's really interesting to me, and I'm very interested to see how the urban side is going to play on this, is the constitutional measure number 1 that was on the ballot as well today. This is the item that requires a single item to be placed up for constitutional amendment at a time, pretty much one thing at a time rather than being able to lump some things together as was done in the past. This one is right now at about 2/3 yes and 1/3 no, which is a little. I thought this was going to be a very tight one, and it's looking like
Break down this ballot.
So the best way to kind of simplify it is you can, as of right now, per state law, you can put as many items, you can lump them together into a constitutional amendment. This one, it would amend the current constitution to require that the future amendments be limited to just one single subject. And who decides what that is? I guess the Secretary of State would decide whether the proposed petition contains more than one subject before approving it for circulation. For constitutional amendments referred by the legislature, the Legislative Assembly would be required to limit each proposal to one subject. So for the yes votes, future initiated constitutional amendments and legislatively referred constitutional amendments would have to be limited to one subject. And of course, no would be, it would remain the same. A lot of people frame this as a way to prevent unrelated issues from being bundled together into one constitutional amendment. Some practical concern is that, single subject disputes could give state officials more power to block or challenge, citizen-led initiatives. A lot of things that we've seen, you could even argue possibly the school lunch drive that was so popular this year. You don't want to, the measure, it's intended to prevent unrelated topics from being combined so voters can make a more clear choice on what they're voting for a constitutional amendment too.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's an interesting one that we haven't pulled a lot of attention for.
And I really thought that one was going to be, and it still could by all stretch of the imagination, but I thought that one was going to be pretty tight. And yeah, we're at about half of Burleigh County in now. They've got 6,200 votes in, which is about a third of the total. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Let me refresh this. My numbers are mixed up.
A comment while Kyler's getting those figured out. Zach Lutz 9-6. I thought the statewide measure would be much tighter at this point as well, mainly due to SOS, Secretary of State, having all the power essentially on what makes the ballot.
Completely so. I thought that one would be very, very, I wasn't sure how it would go, but I thought that one would be very tight. And, it's still technically within grasp if a lot of the urban counties are going to, vote no on it, but I got my doubts. But you do, a lot of times, as we've seen in the last, especially 2 years ago, when we've done these before, and last fall too, to a certain degree, you will see a pretty noticeable split in the way that the rural votes come in compared to how votes come in of, across the state.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, of course, when are you guessing that Minot's going to get the results in?
If it hasn't happened right this second, which it hasn't, I'm going to say we're at 8:30, at least another half hour, 45 minutes. How about this? And I think this could be a great question for our guest coming back in. Who's going to get the votes in first, Ward or Cass County?
All right. We'll pull on our guest to talk about that. Jared Hendricks is back from the library in Fargo. Not really. We're going to change where he's at every time. Ask your question, Kyler.
Jared, who do you think is going to get their vote in first? Is it going to be Ward County or Cass County?
Probably Ward County, but I could be wrong about that. I could be very wrong.
Okay. Jumping to a race that obviously you've been tracking and very closely, and we've already drawn attention to it. And so going back to that Public Service Commissioner race with Chris Olson, Joe Kringstead, we start to see Burleigh County and Oliver County, I thought is more, but Burleigh County the results start coming in, and those are favoring Joe Kringstead. What are some counties that we should be watching for that are going to maybe heavily favor Chris Olson? That one, Burleigh County is 57 for Jill, 41 for Chris. What's maybe a couple counties that we can be watching that's going to favor Chris?
Well, I'm not sure because, we didn't have a lot of clear data on, where the county support was, but I did think it was interesting when I think it was Oliver County, and I can just double check here, that was showing up
heavily towards Chris.
Where he was ahead a little bit. And, that's coal country. Remember Chris worked in the coal industry. So I think that a lot of these really Republican, really conservative rural districts where Chris already seems to be doing pretty well in, I think if he dominates in a lot of these districts, these counties, it could hold the line with the urban vote coming in. So really, I think any of those like Stark County out west, McKenzie County, Williams County, Williston, we'll see where those go.
And how about for that full-term PSC race that's going up? It's looking like it's starting to skew a little bit towards Sherry Haugen-Hoffert, the incumbent, but she's been challenged by the Devin Stuchinski, who is the state GOP endorsed candidate. Have any insights on that race?
No, I mean, not as much, except that I do think, again, Devin's been out there doing kind of the retail side. Obviously, Sherry's raised a ton of money
Mhm.
and she's been out there campaigning as well. And she's, of course, won statewide on the ballot. So it's a much harder target than the Kringstad seat. Um, so I think the results reflect that, that it's a much more difficult race. But what's interesting is some of the same issues I think are driving support both to Chris Olson and Devin, again, against sort of the establishment with some of the discussions about data centers, some of these controversial pipeline projects, things like that. That has really lit a fire underneath a lot of people that are paying attention to what the PSC does and maybe
Yeah.
doesn't do, whatever the case may be, that they weren't paying attention to as much before.
You're in the biggest city in North Dakota. Some people's suburbs, but our big city. But question for you. You guys have had this very big race for mayor that's been going on. You have state legislators that are involved in this. You've got obviously commissioners involved in this. You got a lot of things going on there. Kind of give us a breakdown of what has gone on in this race for mayor in Fargo.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I hope you can get Michelle on here to
For
talk about
sure.
that as well. But so
Love
yeah,
that races.
there's a
Oh,
number of people running.
we have
You know,
breaking news.
Yep.
okay, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go,
It
Kyler.
looks like the Minot races are in. Ward County has elected or has got its numbers in. For mayor, it looks like Mark Janser is going to win. And for city council, it looks like Stephen Padragula, John McMartin, and Eric Locken are going to be our winners as of right now.
No, this is very tight
Partial,
race.
yeah, it's all partial at this point, but we have Minot numbers coming in, and it's coming in tight, but they're starting to trickle in at this point.
All right. So, yeah. So 509 votes for Pajagula, 496 votes for McMartin, 428 votes for Locken, and then 414 votes for Hawbaker, 368 for Brassfield, 242 for Keller, 210 for Wiley, and 5 write-ins,
Ooh, look at that!
which is funny because we had them all comment.
Yeah, I think that was everyone.
But those are that's the City of Minot City Council race. So that'll be an interesting thing. Finish what you were saying.
Sorry, Jared. Yes.
Finish what you were saying on the Fargo race.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So yeah, I would say just in broad strokes, you have Denise Kolpak and Josh Boucher, who's a state senator out in Fargo, has won a number of elections, and of course, she's been around for a while as well. I would say that they're both working towards maybe a similar base of people, maybe a little bit more liberal. Granted, these are nonpartisan races, so all of that gets a little bit murky. And then you have Dave Pipcorn and Michelle Turnberg, I would argue, kind of vying for some of the same voters on the conservative side. Again, generally speaking, Michelle is pretty well known in the community, and so is Dave. He's been around for a while. She's in the middle of her term on the city commission, and Dave has been term limited, so this is the end of his term. And so, in other words, if she is not successful tonight, she'll continue to be on the city commission. And then you have Mr. Sirleaf, who is also running and has, I think, some support from the immigrant community as well. So it's a very interesting race. It seems to be very high turnout, and I've seen some pretty well organized campaigns. I think Josh Boucher has actually run just objectively a decent campaign.
Mhm.
And he's very well established. So I really don't know if I want to even make a prediction. I think really any one of those top 4 candidates probably has a chance. I don't think Sirleaf has a chance of winning. I think he'll probably come in last. But I think it could be any one of those 4 candidates.
Very good. With that, we do have one of the Fargo mayoral candidates, Michelle Turnberg, that
Oh
will be
my.
joining us here very shortly. Did we get her name right, Jared?
Yes.
Of course we did. We never get names wrong on the Dakotan. All right.
And full disclosure, she's the one I'm rooting for, but I'm just trying to give you
That's all
the
right.
Fair
objective
enough.
rundown.
Sounds good. All right, so we're gonna jump to her, and then we'll be back to talk about the probably partial minor
Yeah,
results.
hopefully by the time we're done with Michelle, we'll have the full results in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us one second.
John, the tech guy's got to get their producer, our magical producer is getting everything switched around.
How are we doing today, Michelle? Competitive race out there in Fargo
Hi,
for mayor.
can you hear me?
We can hear you great.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm doing fabulous. We are at our watch party for the mayoral race in Fargo, and we have had a fantastic turnout. So many people, and it's not any results have come in yet, but we're very excited, and it's a great
That's awesome.
atmosphere.
This has been kind of a race that has gotten a lot of publicity throughout the state because it has become very high profile. Of course, there's some things that the city of Fargo is going through, and it seems like a lot of towns look to Fargo as far as what's going on. If elected, what are some of the key things that you've been preaching to your constituents? But what's like one of the main priorities that we hope to see accomplished in Fargo?
You know, it's we're not that different than we are the biggest city in the state, but we all face similar challenges. And a lot like Minot, Fargo has a budget challenge. And I
Right.
hope we are as successful as Minot has been in tackling that and doing great things. So, absolutely, we want to tackle our budget. We want to get rid of specials and how we're having residents pay for those. We want to cut spending and wasteful spending. So we're just doing the needs and not the wants. It's so exciting, and there's so many things that we have that we can work on that I think that's why we're getting so much attention.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's been interesting about Fargo is you guys have blossomed fantastically over the last 10 years, and there's been a ton of growth. But then there's also been the challenges, and I think that's kind of an interesting balance that a lot of cities in North Dakota should face. What have you seen the balance of economic development, which is this killer buzzword that comes through all these towns where we need to have economic development? How have you seen that develop in Fargo, and is it something that you're passionate about or concerned about?
Oh, absolutely. And we want to have growth, but we want to have smart growth.
Right.
And we have developers that are ready to go, but the city seems to have too many roadblocks in the way for them to break ground and get going. And that's what we need. We have a new police chief, which will be absolutely incredible for our city. So another one of my primary platforms, public safety and
Right.
core city services. So those things that residents cannot provide themselves, like police and fire protection, water that comes out of your kitchen sink, toilets that flush, safe roads to drive on, utilities. And we want to focus on those. And we can consider ourselves to be like a service provider. And we have 140,000 subscriptions to take care of, and we want to be the absolute best provider that we can be of those services and not be the answer to every single social problem that the community faces.
For sure. Yeah. And one other parallel that you guys kind of have compared to Minot is a little bit of the discussion comparing downtown Fargo for your case compared to how you would like to develop out the rest of Fargo. How do you see that going forward if you were to win?
Well, another similarity is we have the needle exchange program, which is not
Sure,
a needle
yes.
exchange. It is free needles, and we have attracted people from across the country for all of our free services. And that has been a detriment to our downtown because we have people that are not being good citizens, not being lawful. They're addicted to drugs, abusing drugs. They may have mental illness that is not being treated, and it's been a real problem for downtown. So we have moved the center that was located in downtown and decimated many of our businesses. And that has been moved to a more industrial area. So we're hoping that that is one thing that will help. And also, we have the possibility of building a convention center. And one of the locations could be downtown, which I think would also be an influx of visitors, shoppers, people going to restaurants, stores downtown, spending, their dollars, and that would be a huge benefit to our city and our residents because our sales tax helps fund public safety and also part of our infrastructure.
Very good. Well, obviously, you guys are just on hold to tell these results get in. Are feeling optimistic about it?
I feel great. I,
Good.
I feel great. We put all the hard work in. I don't think there's anything more we could have done. So, whatever will be. And we're just here to have fellowship and enjoy it.
It's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Really appreciate you jumping on and talking about what's going on in
Thank
Fargo.
you. It was nice
Absolutely.
speaking with you guys. Have a great
Yes.
night.
Best of
Likewise.
luck.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Continue our election night fun.
Numbers are trickling in across the state. Partial numbers are in for a ton of counties at this point. We're getting some better looks at how things are going. We have over 27,000 votes so far have been counted in the state of North Dakota. We have quite a few counties that do have full votes in, but none of them are of any size necessarily. Most of them are more rural counties, but we do have, 4,800 votes out of Burley. We've got a little over or just under 1,000 votes here in Ward County, and it's McKenzie, not
Nick,
Williams.
I'm going to interrupt Kyler.
Please do.
Nick, Minot has started reporting. Right now, we have with 1,000 votes in on the mayor race. We have Mayor Jenser firmly in front with 81% of the vote. And for the city council race, right now, the top three candidates are Dr. Stephen Padragula with 19%, John McMartin with 18%, Eric Locken with 16%, and Joan Hawbaker at 15%. So it's still a very tight race, and we assume that there'd be a similar amount of votes that are in that race. We only get to see the total votes, which is 2,672. Of course, that's broken up differently because you can vote for up to 3 people in that race. So results are starting to trickle in, and we are monitoring those as they do happen.
One interesting one, too, for here locally, we do have a little update on the park measure so far. It is right now sitting at a yes at about 53% of the vote, 542 yeses, 474 noes. So that one is very tight, but it's trending towards yes so far for the park district here in Minot.
And then the race, we've drawn a lot of attention to it because I think it's one of the more competitive state races, and that's the Public Service Commissioner, that 2-year term between Chris Olson and Jill Kringstead. And Jill is sitting at 53% of the vote, while Chris is sitting at 46.7% of the vote. And as far as Ward County goes on that, and actually I don't get to see the...
I got it pulled up here if we want to... for Ward County, for Jill and Chris.
Chris is up 51% to 48%. So he's winning in Ward County.
And I think that's going to be critical for him, is winning a lot of these narrow races, because I got a sneaky, and hopefully picking up big wins in a lot of those rural, like Jared was saying, coal counties that we have in the state, because I have a sneaky feeling that when you have the urban counties start to really come in, I think that's where a lot of Jill is probably going to start, her support's going to come from. So if Chris can build up a big enough lead in some of those rural counties and start to pick up, a lot more close draws in some of the urban counties, I think he has a real shot tonight.
Okay, we'll talk about District 3 race next. So in the District 3 race, we have Blaine Deloriers leading the charge. This is a very tight race, though.
Also, very few votes in this one, too.
Yep, very few votes and very tight. We're not going to even give you percentages because they won't even tell a story. Blaine Deloriers has 121 votes right now. Timothy Mahalik, 107. Crystal Hendrickson, 105. And Jeff Hoverson, 101.
So it's all.
It is but this is what we were anticipating to come out of this, where it was going to be a nail biter down to the finish.
Yeah, and it's so far at least looking like you have the vast majority of people voting for one slate or the other. At least with these very early vote totals that have been coming in tonight, you really look like you're having...
Not really. I contest this.
You think so?
Okay, and the reason why is because you have Mahalik, Hendrickson, and Hoverson all within, like, Mahalik and Hendrickson are 2 votes different.
And Hoverson's like 3 down.
Hendrickson and Hoverson is 4 votes, but Deloriers and Mahalik are 15 votes different. So comparatively, that's a vast difference.
Yeah, for sure. And when you exponentiate it out, I guess, how about this then? It looks like, at least by those numbers, a lot of people are voting for Hendrickson and Hoverson together.
Right, they are voting for them together, but Deloriers is getting a weird vote.
Is he getting? Yeah, and I was going to say, is he possibly getting some just singular votes? Yeah, like where people possibly maybe are just voting just for him. Definitely too early to tell that kind of story, but it's kind of looking like that could be the case right now.
Absolutely, very good. So we'll continue to monitor these results. Maybe you can pull up the District 7 results if there's anything there. I don't know if there is.
Head down here. I can get it pulled up in the legislature here.
I'm not sure if there's anything there yet, honestly.
It looks like, yeah, we have a little bit. We have 1,100 votes coming in. As of right now, Michelle Axman is up in the Senate race. And we have Greg Vetter, Steve Souter, then Rick Becker, then Galen Becker in the House race. So right now, Rick is down by about 160 votes to Steve, and Greg Vetter is looking like he's going to take it.
Very good. We'll be bringing back in Jared Hendrickson. We'll give him a new name too when he comes back. But we'll be bringing him back on here very shortly to talk some more of these state district races as they begin to roll in.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Here he is.
He's back.
He's
the
back.
legend.
It's almost like he never left. Almost like he never left.
Yeah, I've just been here reading books.
Just reading books. He's still at the library.
Reading books and hitting refresh on the Secretary of State website.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Basically,
I apologize. My cat might make an appearance here because he's behind me climbing on the bookshelf. So
I can actually see him in your full frame, which is pretty fantastic. Yeah, I guess they don't pay our legislators enough because he has to go to the library to use the computer.
Yeah.
Dude, we're pulling out all the mean jokes tonight. So we love you, Jared. Okay. But we do have some results coming in District 7 and District 3, which are, well, you didn't highlight District 3. You highlighted District 7, though. And early results, Kyler has us pulled up.
Yeah, I do. For District 7, as of right now, we have Michelle Axman winning against Hophoff. And then we have Vetter and Souter, then Rick Becker, then Galen Becker.
Yeah, I'm looking now. I don't know the precincts very well. It looks like
it's way too early. I get it.
Partially
Yep.
precincts 1, precincts 2, and there's it's quite well. It's the margins are fairly similar in both, although it's a lot closer in precinct 2. So I have no idea where those are in the district. I'd have to pull that up. Those numbers could go widely one way or the other, but certainly it looks good for Michelle so far.
So the other race that you highlighted, it was District 15, and these ones we have precincts fully reporting as 5 out of 9. Kent Weston is pulling 57% of the vote in that senator race. Kristen Kenner has 26% of the vote. And then on the representative side, Donna Henderson and Kathy Freelick are leading. Donna Henderson has 37%, Kathy 35%, and Corey Kenner is coming in at 26% of the vote. So it looks like incumbents, still early, but incumbents are in the lead right now.
Yeah, and those numbers in Cavalier were strangely almost exactly kind of where I thought they were going to be. I figured Kent would be massively ahead. And that Kenner would be in second place and Judy would probably be a distant third. But that is Cavalier County. That's where Kent and frankly Donna are the strongest, I think. So those numbers are going to narrow, I think, a lot when you get the Devil's Lake numbers in. And that's where I expect Kathy to take the lead in the House and Donna and Corey Kenner to... Sorry, you could probably hear my cat.
I loved it.
You're good.
To probably be neck and neck fighting for that other House seat. That's my guess.
That's fair. And looking down at District 31, very, very few votes are in for this district so far. Only 3 partial precincts have came through, but starting to look like, at least in the House race, those incumbents are going to be sticking in where kind of similar to what we were talking about in 15. But as of right now, at least, you have Mary Grainer currently winning in the Senate side of that race. So very little interesting dynamic there, but again, very, very preliminary results coming in for that one.
Yeah, and again, too early to tell, but looking at those numbers, I believe that is Morton County so far. I might be wrong about that. I shouldn't have said. People watching, I'm pulling up the results live like everybody else.
Well,
it actually looks like that's Grant County.
Okay.
So that is actually, I think, a good sign for Mary because she's probably a little more known in Morton. But again, partial reporting, way too early to tell. I guess my thought on that, I don't have a good pulse on the Senate race, but on the House side, I wouldn't be surprised if Dawson Hawley comes in first. I mean, he's worked very hard from the beginning. And I think, again, between him and Karen Rohr being incumbents, they both have a pretty good edge there.
People keep telling us it's too early, but what else are we supposed to do but speculate on election night? I mean,
We're
give
just
us a little bit.
waiting for the final results to come in. We have to sit here and speculate at least a little bit at this stage.
Yeah, for sure. We love to hear your keyboard, Jared. We love it. But Jared, really appreciate your insights. Maybe as some of these other results come in, then we'll get you back on to see those as well.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jared.
All right, we continue on, waiting for fantastic results.
We're waiting. The clock is ticking. It's 9:00 already. We've been on like an hour and a half already. That's crazy.
Yeah, it feels like just an hour and a half ago we were starting.
I know. Like, what the heck happened to the time? It was just like, it's like not even storming outside anymore.
There's no flood water. Typically, when there's storms, it floods our office. So.
Exactly. And I was hinting towards that earlier when we first started, before we even went live, and you said not to speak that evil into existence.
He was heavily hinting at it. It's like, if you're going to talk about it, just talk about it. Don't hint, because then it might actually happen.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
All right. So what do you think about these early results from Ward County City Council race? Nothing like we expected. We failed. That means that we're actually professionals.
I'll take it as a win.
It doesn't. So actually, though, say that we got two parts of the segment right, but actually it feels like more that the segment was Stephen Padregula and John McMartin.
Yeah, that could be. But also, I want to say this too. A, there's so few results in still. It could go anyway. And B,
very important for people to realize there's no precincts fully reported.
Yeah.
They're all partial.
I think the biggest thing to take away from our survey last week is, and that's going to result in proof of what it's proving already, is how close it was. Mm-hmm. The preference between people is extremely tight. You're not sure which way it's going to swing, one or the other. And like you were saying, we had people voting for, a lot of people probably had a block of 2 people that they knew they were going to get. And some people probably just voted for that. And then others would branch off and grab one from here or there that they thought is a relevant name to get on their list. And I think that's what we're seeing, is that this is it's a race where there's not one person that necessarily stands out head and shoulders above the crowd. Maybe, Dr. Padregula might be head above the crowd, but head and shoulders, not so much.
So another race that we've been looking at, we obviously had Andrew Schultz on, is that one. And again, way too early to tell, but you have Andrew Schultz winning 6-10 to, not winning, just coming in first right now, because this is all going to be decided.
Leading, that's the word we should be using, I suppose.
We could use that one too. He is coming in first right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
as of now.
And he has 610 votes to 499 from Christopher Nelson. So that one's going to be a tight race. It's going to be interesting. Again, we don't know what the full vote will do, but it'll be an interesting one to watch as we go into the general election this November.
Undoubtedly. And looking at
one of the fun things to watch is the county official newspaper forward. Minot Daily News is romping.
Every year, though, it's like the Kenmare News gets like an extra percent. It's just slow.
They got 11%, man.
That's it. I thought they were
got
closer to like 20.
150 votes right now.
I bet Kenmare hasn't come in yet. That's what I'm going with.
That's fair.
I was gonna say, like, every 4 years it feels like they get an extra percent point or two, but maybe I'm gonna be wrong.
What if this isn't a very fair thing to do? Okay, but
just hit me with
we're waiting for the rest of the results to come in. So if the current trend was to hold true for city council, what are we going to see over the next 2 years?
Oh gosh, it's going to be we'll have a contested council. You're going to have, frankly, I just oversimplify in it and put me in the spot. You'll have a block of 3, a block of 2, and another block of 2. And I think the 2 blocks of 2 will work together, and one of the blocks of 2 will work with the block of 3 occasionally. So
some analysis isn't worth paying for.
That's the expert level analysis you're getting.
Angel Dog 4895. I guess people don't want to save money because one was part of the spinning. Just saying, ridiculous in my opinion. That is Angel Dog 48 9-5.
It's going to be interesting to see where it finally does lie and how all the numbers do end up coming. Because we're at over 37,000 votes in the state of North Dakota have been reported already, which is about 6.25% of the total vote. A couple big counties that we're missing so far. We don't have Grand Forks, Cass, or Williams County have no precincts or votes reported at all. And then Stark County has just 442. So we're sitting with a few bigger counties that still have to come together and see where we're going to be lying with those. Because right now we have, again, 18% of the precincts are fully reported with 106 partial reports. So we have a lot of ways to go. But the one thing that how this works is, generally speaking, a lot of times you get this small little initial dump, and maybe that's early voting or something, or mail-in voting, whatever it might be. And then you get the massive big dump of everything, which probably should
Around
be coming.
9:30.
Yeah, within the next half hour here.
Yeah. It feels like last time it was 9:30.
One other big
Zach, it's hard to decide between this and Reed Timmer for the big screen. Rugby is getting smacked right now.
Ooh.
That storm, when it hits, it hits hard.
I can't blame you if you switch it over for a couple minutes.
Yeah, but only a couple,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
we would
storm's moving quick.
Yeah, it didn't take long to get through my net. But in all seriousness, I hope that everything stays safe where you are at. These storms have been quite the adventure.
One race that I heard you mention when I was helping get some stuff ready off camera here.
I said that intentionally because I didn't want you involved in it.
Oh, the superintendent of public instruction.
Yeah,
race?
I didn't want you commenting.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I was going to stop, but as of right now, we have Levi Bachmeyer at about 56% of the vote, with Tracy Foss at 28, and then Charles Tuttle at about 15. So that one it's starting to kind of widen itself out a little bit. But the thing with that is also a race that will go on to November. Top two winners of that do go on. And fun story, 2 years ago, that was the closest race in the state of North Dakota, and it was about a 60-40 split. So,
yeah, I remember that. Other things going on in Minot, Park Board, Perry Olson, Justin Hammer, Mike Schmidt, they're all in good shape as there was 3 spots. And
those are the 3 candidates. Congratulations. So
you have Minot City Measure number 1, of course. Its results are still the same as when Tyler. Yeah, that's not going to end well, guys. Pray for me tonight. When Kyler mentioned that earlier, yes is 53%, no is 46.65%.
Fair.
Municipal Judge Ashley Beall winning 74%, 681 votes to Farron Terry's 232 votes. Of course, Kyler still has his 5 votes, 5 write-ins. Hey, actually, that's an interesting deal because it kind of maybe that tells you where those votes came from.
It could be, possibly, yeah. I mean,
because we have 4 people comment.
And then myself. So
he wrote himself in. Right. So that could be the 5 total, but some people voted today and some voted yesterday.
Yeah. And all of last week. So I think you'll see.
Yeah, but I'm saying that we're writing them in specifically.
That's fair. Good point there.
Yes,
you'll see them keep trickling in as the night goes on, without a doubt. But what other interesting local race to keep an eye on is, and maybe not even keep an eye on, but just to see where trends might lie. And that's District 5. And there's no race at hand right now. No one's going to win, but just seeing how many votes are cast on one ballot or the other is going to be a little interesting in a race that could potentially be a little contested this fall. Just the way things are going nationally at this point, I feel like that is a race that could, have a chance to maybe make a little bit of noise this fall. District 3 possibly.
I got you. So Zach Racknerud gets the shout out. 107 votes coming in for him. Kyle Erickson 102, and that would be. On the other side, you have Scott Lauser at 231 and Roger Brabrandt at 194.
So about a 2-to-1 ratio as of right now.
Yeah, which
generally
so that's 75-25.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll be one. We've had Zach Rackner on, but we'll be having all those candidates on most likely have all those candidates on as we lead into the general election this November.
I can only assume that the invitation will be extended at the very least.
And Kyler will be trying to get a debate going most likely, but I don't know if that's true or not. So don't quote us on that.
I'm going to try.
He's going to try. We don't know how hard he's going to try.
Might be right here even. I don't know.
Yeah, could just be something virtual. A lot of different ideas that we've talked about on it. We are waiting on more results to come in. Of course, we've went over the city council results. We've went over the mayor results. and we've been tracking a couple of the statewide races. You didn't give great analysis on this, and I know it's really early to give it. I think I'm a little bit surprised to see Stephen Pajagula and John McMartin both leading. That is a surprise to me.
That's fair. To see them both, I mean, you could argue that they might almost be their own block in and of themselves very lack of better term for the old guard in Minot coming to get out the vote and get together for people that they believe are going to be competent and secure going forward. That would be my thought on that.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting block. I think right now it's a very interesting deal, and of course, missing a lot of votes still. So we're not going to go too deep into the commentary on it. How many votes are we going to get total? 3,000
in Minot, or in probably
for the mayor race.
I'll say about 5. I think
really 5,000.
4 to 5. I think.
So we're at 20% in.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, I would like to think right in that frame we should. I would like to think it'll be close to what we got last August.
Okay, are we going to shave head?
No.
Last August that worked.
No. If anything, if I remember right, that was based on subscriber count too, not vote turnout. There was something that was the pie in the face.
Yeah. Did I get a pie in my face?
You got a bucket of water dumped on you that we told everyone was ice water, but it wasn't.
Serious?
Yeah.
Wasn't there some ice put in it? Oh, bummer. I'm sorry, guys. It was still cold. I didn't act. It was cold.
I believe that. It was still shocking. It was very hot that day. I do remember that.
Yeah. So that all did happen.
Yes. It was fun. It was summer. Now we're back to summer again, and we have more votes coming in.
We were talking about...
we have some numbers from Cass County now.
All right, finally.
Only 1,400 votes are in, but we're starting to get some numbers coming in. And as of right now, Balaz is down pretty much 3-1 to Fedorchak, like you're seeing across the state.
Holding consistent there.
Haugenhofer at about 60-40, along with Kringstead so far at about 60-40 with Chris Olson. Then you have the constitutional measure 1 is at about 60, same thing, about 60-40, yes, no. And then let's find the legislative tab here. And we'll go down to District 13, if I can find it. And we have, as of right now, for Senate, Judy Lee is up narrowly against Philip Sahlberg by, a couple dozen votes at this point. And you have Austin Schauer, Tim Jonas, Everett Duckworth, and then Russell Bubach coming in for the District 13 House race as of right now. And that, again, is another very interesting one because you have 2 full slates of candidates coming back and forth against each other with that.
Crazy.
I'm excited to see how this keeps progressing here.
46,000 vote total turnout so far. Looks like it's been updating every 10 minutes. So we'll be refreshing quite more often than that, but we will expect our next update around 9:20. Angel Dog 4895. I hope you enjoy it when we use your full username. It's a little bit fun. Will it be more voters this year than to last election?
I think it's going to be pretty close.
What was last election?
It was like 5,500 or something like that. I'd have to go
for the special.
Yeah.
It
was a little under 6,000 if I remember right.
It feels a little high what you're saying, but you're probably right.
Yeah, it was over 5,000. I know that. I don't.
No, it wasn't.
All right, I'll look it up.
Look it up.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
I don't agree with that. Unless if you could vote for 2 mayoral candidates, maybe I'm wrong. No, actually, the total vote, because sorry, I processed the numbers wrong. We had 2 candidates that were around 1,600 votes, and then 1 candidate that ran close to 3,000. So pull that actual number for us so we can have real facts here at the Dakotan. Something that happens every once in a while.
Yeah, we occasionally try here. I do it's just pulling up all the. Here we go.
All right. While you do that, I'll get some updates on some statewide races as they're trickling in. So Julie Fedorchak is still 72% to 27%. Michael Howe, he's dominating 99%. Of course, there's somebody going against him. So, and then the one that we've been watching, Jill Kringstead versus Chris Olson. Jill is at 53%. Chris is at 46.5%. There's around 2,000 votes that are separating them.
5,516 votes.
He feels vindicated. He feels like
Validated.
He feels very good right now.
I feel like I'm not completely useless all the time.
Matter of fact, he might mic drop and go get a drink. You never know.
I'm not hacking up along right now, so I'm feeling okay at this stage. I think we're okay. Because, of course, I decided to clear off the table when we brought our guest in. But
the constitutional measure number one, is starting to pull away substantially. 67% to 32.
I think we're about at the point where we can probably get close to getting ready to call that.
He just wants to call stuff.
Hey, there's only a couple that I'm saying I feel like I can be confident in saying that my minimal mathematic abilities can say that the probability factor states that the likelihood of someone coming back are negligible.
Yeah.
Does that sound smart?
It's probably not accurate, but it sounds smart.
I'll take it as a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Looking at a couple other ones here, we'll take another look at Burleigh County, see if those numbers are a little bit different from where we were earlier when we were looking at the District 7 race down there. Because earlier we had, I think it's still going to be pretty close to where we were. And yeah, it's looking like Michelle Axman's still at 58% of the vote. And then we have Greg Vetter 32, Souter 28, Becker 21, and then Becker 16. So I think Rick Becker could definitely jump in because it's only separated by 150, 60 votes at this point. So you're really looking like this can shift anywhere. Because again, you have 5 total precincts in Burleigh County, and only 3 out of 5 are currently being partially represented. So definitely expecting to see a lot more coming from that. Otherwise, did you know tonight is also a primary day nationally in Nevada and Maine as well?
Nice.
Specifically, the big one that I know a lot of people were talking about was in Maine. There's a guy named Graham Plattner, I think his last name is.
Yeah, he's gotten some attention.
He has. He's running as a Democrat in Maine. Technically, he's running in a primary, but the only legitimate contender he had dropped out of the race a couple months ago. The current governor of Maine, Janet Mills, I'm pretty sure is her name. She dropped out, and so that left Graham Plattner effectively. I mean, I think there is technically some opponent on that side, but effectively ready to go. So it's going to be interesting. In a similar way that I was talking about seeing the numbers for District 5 House split for the Democrats and Republicans, that'll be an interesting thing to take away from Maine is how the Republican and Democrat splits go between Susan Collins in the Republican primary versus the Graham Plattner in the Democratic primary, especially just for looking towards this fall. Susan Collins has been senator for almost 20 years. She was the governor of Maine for close to I think at least 2 full terms beforehand, going back into the 90s. So she's a longtime figure in Maine. And if she were to lose, obviously she has been around for a long time, but if she were to lose, that would be a big blow to both the GOP and her own, history at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Evidently I have my sound on. So
what are you doing, my guy?
I thought it was other people that had their sound on, but it was me.
You thought it was me?
Rookie mistake. We are, I believe we're 3 minutes away from another boat dump.
I bet you're right. The way it's been looking lately, where we get something in every 10 or 15 minutes here. And we're still sitting at 867 in Ward County. All 16 precincts.
That doesn't even make sense. Right? Because there's 1,000. Like I saw this, there's 1,000 votes for the mayor. And you only get 1 vote for mayor, right?
This is fair. I wonder if, I don't know. I wonder if some numbers are if there's more numbers coming in for Minot mayor rather than Ward County itself. Because just looking at this right now in Berth, Go ahead.
No, I was just saying.
I was going to say for Berthold, for example, there's only 1 total vote has been cast between their mayor and city council, which obviously, not like Berthold's a metropolis, but when you have 867 votes.
That is 1.
Yeah.
Zach Lutz, 9-6. Plattner has had a lot of negative press hit in the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. Some reach, but some definitely give something for voters to consider. That's the bummer part about negative press is it's like there has to be a filter that it's ran through.
Yep.
Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you sit.
Yep. Because again, surface level, I haven't dove too deep into any of the national stuff yet. It's still a little early for that. But surface level, especially like Zach was saying recently, it sounds like there's been some questionable stuff coming up about his, recent history with whether it be with women or with working on the Kick app kind of thing. So there's some questionable things that have popped up. But again, it's way too early to tell. And in a year that it feels like is charged to kind of go against the GOP, especially some of the long-term establishment people like Susan Collins, some might refer to her as a rhino in some circles kind of thing, could really see that being a race that kind of has a big sway on where the country's looking come this fall.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be an interesting race between him and Susan Collins.
Mm-hmm. Nevada, also a big race coming up. Biggest one I can think of off the top of my head there is the governor race. Joe Lombardo is running for re-election. He won 4 years ago in a race that hadn't seen a Republican governor win there in quite a few terms. So see if in generally has a pretty Democratic statewide legislature and national committee. Their 2 senators are both Democrats, and I think most of their congressmen are also Democrats. So it's one of those things where it's interesting to see if he can still keep, especially in a year that's kind of charged against him, if he can keep the momentum going and win that second term. Because if he does, you never know where you'll hear Joe Lombardo's name in another 2 years.
Absolutely. All right. We are, let's see, did we get updated results? Nope, not yet. We are wrong.
You got me all excited, Jonathan.
You know what? I've been trying to track this stuff, and I'm not very good at it, evidently.
Hey, you've been trying.
Just when they go and they give you something consistent, they go and make something inconsistent with it.
It's true. Hey, you know what? This isn't even me. There's a few races have been called on a site here. Looks like the Fedoracek race has been called.
That's a surprise.
The Sherry Haugen-Hoffert race is called.
That's not a surprise.
The Levi, this one technically isn't, full.
All right, updated numbers at 9:20, but there was nothing for Minot.
Oh, is there anything for Cass?
I don't know. I was looking at Minot.
Let me also look here. Got to get up to everything.
He got his. We distracted him.
Nothing new in Cass. Yeah, I was talking about something. I don't remember now.
You're called racist.
Burley's up a bunch. Burley's up to 11,000 votes now, almost 12,000 votes. That one's going to be exciting.
Yeah, District 7, I think same 3 in the House side, same order: Vetter, Sauter, Becker.
Fair.
And there's a 280 vote difference between Sauter and Becker. So
they've also called the ballot measure as well.
Makes sense. That one was definitely charging ahead there.
Yep. So those are the ones that I've seen have been called so far across the state. Another little interesting race that I kind of want to mention, and it's something that we haven't, I don't know if we've mentioned it more than maybe once across, the last month or two, and that's the Williston Mayor and City Commission race. You have a 4-way race for mayor out in Williston right now, kind of similar to what we saw last summer on a very different situation. You have current incumbent mayor Howard Klug, who's been mayor for 12 years in Williston, pretty much mayor for most of the second half of the oil boom out there. He's stepping away as mayor, and he's running for city commission. So now you have a 4-way race for mayor to try to replace him. Then you also have 3 people running for 2 seats on the commission, including their current mayor. So that's going to be a really interesting one to see play out too.
That will be as well.
Any new numbers?
Nah. We got to wait till 9:30 now, man.
God, jeez. What are we going to talk about?
Dude, we're going to talk about the Spurs here in a minute, but we're also going to talk about Kyler's dude, and my stutter. I don't know what we want to call it, but I keep saying Tyler.
I accept it.
Oh, he does.
I'll be Tyler. If you call me Tyler or Kyle, I don't know why this was still on. If you call me Kyler or excuse me, of course, if you call me Kyler, if you call me Tyler or Kyle or even Carl, I'm probably Skyler. I'll respond.
We got to zoom in on Kyler though, because the guy's struggling right now.
I am. Don't look too close at me. My camera looks like a mess. Or is it my eyes that are a mess?
It's your eyes. You're like, your eyes are all red. There's tears.
I am crying a little bit. I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited. It's a beautiful night. Probably still it's a little humid, but it's election day. I'm still coughing. You still got me on the full screen. And I'm so excited to be here. I do genuinely love doing this. Thank you, everyone, for that is watching us tonight. We greatly appreciate every single one of you letting us be in your homes, letting us help you see the information that's coming in tonight. Every one of you, we greatly do appreciate. And so thank you again for making the Dakotan part of your home tonight.
Well done, Kyler.
Thank you.
It's good to see those.
It's your turn for a solo shot now.
I've had mine.
You don't want another monologue?
I got stuff in the back pocket.
One. That's true. Okay.
So Spurs Knicks.
Yeah.
Obviously, neither can win on their home court.
Clearly not.
What did you think about? What did you think about that Game 3 win by the Spurs?
It was
You
a
realize the Knicks are. This is how I always ask questions. I also do it to candidates. I ask a question and then I ask something else.
It's true.
So when Wemby was like just a couple degrees of an angle off from having made a 3 and the Spurs being up 2-1. This is actually a very tight series.
It is. And one other, it was a close game last night too, by all means. But I think it was, I don't think it was as close as it looked. I think the Spurs had that in hand for the vast majority of the game. I think with like 6 minutes left, it got to like, maybe close to single digits and the Knicks could have maybe pulled ahead. But I think that was one of those those games where even though it was close and it was technically not like a blowout, I think the Spurs had the game in hand for the vast majority of it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going for the Spurs. He's going for the
I
Knicks.
feel less like it after last night, but I'm still cheering for the Knicks.
Going for the Karl Anthony Towns, the Minnesota
connection. Get another Minnesota player to leave Minnesota and go win a championship. Why not?
Zach Lutz agrees. Spurs handled. Oh, Zach Lutz 9-6. We got to get the full username in there. Spurs handled most of the game, 100%, and also said, "Get that man a water." Yeah. We told our producer, but he didn't do anything.
He needs one of them things be like that sometimes. You know how it goes.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's sitting back there just watching us. Now, Jonathan has to do the live production. He's just chilling in the back.
Eating Cheetos. We don't let him.
Drinking Celsius.
He's drinking all our Celsius and he's eating we don't let him on the keyboard because he got orange colored fingers and.
All messy. Makes a mess.
Of course, we don't have a producer at all. And there are no Cheetos.
We're just making
the Celsius. I drink those.
I drink the Ghost.
All right, so we are about 5 minutes away from another round of updates.
What we're hoping, at least.
Well, it's been true.
It has. Largely, you're right, actually, especially the last half hour here. I'm ready to see some more results come in from Cass. I can't wait for some preliminary results from Grand Forks and Williams County. The fact that there's also, okay, so first I'll start there. The fact that we haven't seen anything from Grand Forks and Williams, at least preliminary, it's a little disappointing. But there's a lot more, even more rural counties that we haven't seen anything from yet. Like McLean, we haven't seen anything. Kidder County down in kind of central North Dakota hasn't seen anything. Ramsey and Benson, has had nothing at this point. So we're still waiting on some, generally a lot of rural places, but we have seen 57,739 votes cast that have been reported so far. We have 27% of the precincts have been reported out of a total of 358 today. And it's really starting to come down to the wire in a couple races. And again, the big statewide race that we've been paying attention to tonight because
why not?
I mean, well, because generally most of them aren't that close, and this one is the Jill Kringstead-Chris Olson race, where as of right now, Jill Kringstead's up by about 3,500 votes on him, about 54% to 45%. So it's getting further away from as we speak. Again, you never know how this is going to play out. Like,
yeah, what about when like Williston area comes in?
That could be, but also I feel like Grand Forks is going to be the opposite of that too.
Yep, that's good. But what about Dickinson?
Have we had anything from there yet?
They're an hour behind us. I imagine that we haven't had much.
They're Stark County, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we've had 412 votes reported from Stark County so far.
Yeah,
so
there's still a lot to play out in that race, although I do agree with generally what you're saying. If you're, dude, go get yourself a water if you need one.
I might have to.
Yeah. We do have some left.
I got a drink from earlier. I just set it right outside. Might have to step away. Can you go solo?
Yeah, I'll go solo in 3 minutes.
Okay, that's fair. I can accept that deal. So, with that big statewide stuff again too, I think you mentioned this when I was gone too, and the one interesting one was the Supreme Court Justice with Jared Tufte running against Ariston Johnson.
Yep.
Tufte obviously is the incumbent there. He's been around for a minute. We've seen his name at least a couple times before. Running against newcomer Ariston Johnson. Well, Tufte's up about 66 to 35% right now. 64 to 35%. Excuse me. I'm getting blind as the night goes on.
There was some people that were that's because there's so many tears in his eyes. But there were some people that were concerned about that race.
Was there? Yeah. Was there some thoughts that Tufte might get?
Well, it was just the people that were campaigning for Tufty, they took it seriously.
Of course, as they should. Johnson is, I mean, looking compared to what you've seen some challengers to positions like this, he's looking fairly strong. 35% is a decent challenge to a well-established incumbent. I mean, I don't know how much more you can expect when it's someone that isn't like overly unpopular kind of thing.
For sure. For sure. One more minute. We'll go solo. Kyler will get his water.
Do you need anything while I'm gone?
Oh, no.
I can adjust anything if you need.
Oh,
do you need another Celsius?
No, we're done with the Celsius for the night. I could take another water.
I can do that for you, my Starr man.
Yeah, that is not what we say.
I hope everyone's enjoying this tonight. I sure am. I'm having a blast.
I'm enjoying the live stream part, just being in the same room with you for this long. And now the jokes are rolling.
Oh my gosh, it's got to be getting old for you here.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and
right.
What? Not quite yet. Almost.
Hey, the North Dakota Monitors also predicted Fedoracek's winning, so take that as you will.
That's all right. We're gonna wait till 9:30,
and then
it's your punishment.
I accept my punishment for forgetting my drinks outside when I helped AJ get in here. It's my fault. It is. You know, my one big thing, and I was being naive with this earlier.
Oh,
and
it is definitely 9:30.
Oh, I'm saying the point now. I'm saying the point now. So it's too late. I thought Balaz was going to be a little bit more competitive. I thought obviously Julie Fedoracek was going to win fairly handily, but I didn't think it was going to be a 70-30 plus split.
Yeah, I said that.
You did, yeah. You said
I said 30% would be good for him.
Yeah, you did. So you pretty much called this one.
Yeah, it's the only thing I've ever called in my life when it comes to elections. But yeah, I mean, go ahead, take that minute break and go.
I'm not even going to be a minute. I'll be like 30 seconds here.
All right, good. Go ahead.
I'll run. You'll hear me.
All right, it is just me while Kyler goes and grabs some water. We are refreshing the website frantically. We do got another round of updates in, but sadly, we don't have that big ballot drop that we're looking for in the Ward County area. We're still holding out at 1,000 votes for the mayor race, and so we'll continue to monitor that as the night goes on. So that's an interesting race for sure. The other thing is we'll jump to the statewide races to see how the results come in for this after the update. Of course, the big one that we're tracking is the Chris Olson, Jill Kringstead, and it looks like that gap has widened a little bit more. Jill Kringstead is now up by 10%. So Chris Olson did do a valiant effort, but it looks like they will be
probably going to end up being just a little bit short.
We can hear him, sadly, but we are not able to see him, thankfully.
Well, one interesting thing with the Chris Olson, I'm just going to yap. Yeah, I don't care.
He doesn't care if he's seen
or not. It's a podcast, right? These were started before video was a thing or something. So interesting with Chris Olson, he didn't even jump into the race until about a week before the GOP convention. When he came to the convention, there was a lot of talk on who the GOP was going to nominate because they had Stuchinski. He had announced quite a while prior, but Chris Olson really just showed up. I mean, I don't want to just say it like that, but he had showed up at the convention and he had really started his campaign there effectively. He had gotten stuff together. He had a booth down there, and I think he'd had some signage already, but he hadn't really started doing anything statewide until the convention at that stage. So he got a chance to say. He got a chance to go around North Dakota, and I got a sneaky feeling we'll probably see more of Chris Olson in the future.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we did.
I think he has see, the interesting thing as well is with Devin Stuchinski having a little bit different background. Like so Devin Stuchinski is, I think, a soil biologist from his degree. Well, Chris Olson had actually worked in different coal mines. He had worked in some different power plants and stuff. And I'm not saying Devin is incredibly qualified. He's a great guy, but I think Chris has a different level of qualifications when looking at this at a statewide kind of thing. But at this point, I think it's kind of the writing's starting to pop up on the wall at this stage.
It is. That gap is only going to widen. I do believe there will be some maintenance that will happen on the when the, I don't know, whatever races on the west side of the state come in.
Yeah,
that will probably help him out a little bit, give him a little bit of bump.
I think Williams will for sure. I
But
would like to think he'd win that.
yeah, I don't think that he is going to be able to win the race, though.
No, at this point, it's looking like it's just going to be a little short. But hey, I will say this, compared to 2 years ago when we did this, at least in the fall side of it, this is a lot more contested of a race than we had to deal with then. At least having something within, 5 to 10 points is a little bit more fun statewide. I won't lie. I'll say this. 2 years ago in the primary election, the House race was very fun to watch. That was just the whole way through, watching them debate at multiple different stages, have a chance to really go out there and display everything. I thought that was great politics. I thought it was a great attempt by the candidates to show their cases. And it was a little more disappointing that we didn't. Again, I am extremely biased. I am a very big fan of anything when it comes to debates. So caveat that. But I would have really liked to have seen a congressional debate prior to the primary season.
That would have been interesting. Got a couple comments coming in, so we'll respond to those because we love ourselves a good comment. So it looks like money talks. Why is there only 1,000 votes for mayor, or is there something wrong? Those precincts are not fully reporting; they're only partially. So we're waiting for the rest of the votes to drop. As soon as that happens, we can all go to bed, sleep peacefully. So we just need that to happen. A discussion topic. All right, we appreciate it, as you can tell. I was like, thank you. This is going to be a good one. Thoughts on UFC Freedom 250 scheduled for Sunday, June 14th on the South Lawn of the White House. Kyler, I know you have thoughts on this.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an event. I tell you what.
Isn't there talks about it just always staying there too?
Yeah, I have heard that. Like Trump has definitely made mention that maybe we'll just keep the arch. It'll be great. It'll be beautiful. One big, beautiful lawn.
That would actually be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be true.
I'm not a fan of that, by the way.
No, but yeah, I think A, that would be disgusting, but B, it would be epically hilarious. So let me caveat this with a little bit of praise for Trump. Something I want to at least say that I think I've seen some pictures and some videos of Washington, D.C., whether it be the reflecting pool.
Reflecting pool looks good.
And also the one that I thought was really cool was the Malcolm X Memorial, which apparently has a running stream that goes through it that hasn't ran in years.
Wow.
Which
runs again.
Yeah. I thought I got to give props for props for doing
honestly, this is one area where that it seems like somehow did fall behind. Is that deferred maintenance? It caught them over there in DC. Deferred maintenance.
Hey, we got
a mid drop. No. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking.
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of deferred maintenance, we have something on the ballot similar to that too. But we did get more votes coming. We have our first preliminary votes coming in from Grand Forks County. Granted, there's very few votes so far. We're at about 4,000 votes, but Fedorchak over Balaz pretty similar as the rest of the state, about 3-1 in her favor. When you look at a couple other the interesting races, Haugen Hofford is about 2-1 against Stachinski, where Jill Kringstead is pretty much right there with her in Grand Forks so far to start. And then you have Levi, surprisingly. Oh, well, interesting fact with this one.
Complete sentences, buddy.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. Superintendent of Public Instruction. You have Tracy Lane Foss, who's running as effectively the Democrat-endorsed candidate for that. She's from the Grand Forks area. So she is at about 40.5%. She's only down by less than 200 votes to Levi Bachmeyer in Grand Forks County. So little interesting tidbit with that one there. And then, as with most of the rest, you have the constitutional measure number 1 passing by about a 2-1 margin as well.
I think something that we should figure out is who is going to be walking in the North Dakota State Fair Parade.
Hey, we're going to have to do that.
Walk?
Did they 2 years ago?
I don't know.
I don't remember who did. I know there were some mayor. No, it was last year that there were mayor candidates. Of course, yeah. That'll be interesting to see who does end up coming up to Minot to walk in the parade.
Helm.
Let's go ahead.
6561. Well, the results haven't updated this. There is a website check. We are definitely waiting on results to
as soon as they're in, we will get them shared as well as we can. So the other one I wanted to mention real fast on Grand Forks, again, caveat, not very far into this race right now, but it's that District 42 race, which is the unexpired 2-year term. You have Connie Ozawowski coming in first by just about 30 votes
on that name. I don't know if it's right or not, but that sounded good.
Confidence, brother.
Now, I will say that you get a couple points docked because we heard you drink that.
Jeez. No, you heard it because you got the headphones
The
on.
gulp is brutal.
I'm sorry. Oh, I
they-
gulped her down. Hey,
they
I had
probably have
to.
headphones
I'm
on.
sorry, folks. If I just destroyed your ears. Ethan Harsel is about 12% right now, but again, only 467 votes in that Grand Forks County race as of right now. Let's take a peek here at 31 again. I want to check that one out, see if we've had any updated numbers come out of there. Doesn't look like it. We still have Mary Grainer at first, and then Dawson Hawley, Karen Rohr, Jim Schmidt.
2 minutes away, 1 minute away from another potential. There's potential. You know,
I did it again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't know if they can hear it as well as I can.
It was like that time I produced for you, and I could hear every time you'd clear your throat. I swear. And you couldn't hear it on the video. It's fine. I'm going to say it's fine, because guess what? If it's not, it still is.
Nonetheless,
I've had
we're
worse
1 minute
things.
away.
Why am I seeing South America? What's happening? My map got messed up. I don't know why I scroll all the way down. All right, I'm back. Hey, we've got... Oh, wait, no, that's McHenry. Never mind. I scrolled over the wrong
The life of Kyler. We're hearing that play out firsthand right now.
You are. You're seeing Kyler at his fullest right now. Let's see. Where's
Can you imagine who's the guy that goes, what is it, 12 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours on NFL Sunday, whatever?
Scott Hansen? Yeah. Doesn't, like, he literally has to hold his pee for 8 hours straight. Guy doesn't stop. He might get like a quick breather. I think he has a drink with. I don't know how he does it for that long. Like, what if he has, like, he's got a scratchy throat like old Kyler today? Oh, jeez. Hey, one interesting thing. Towner County up in the northern part of the state. That's where Alex
We have something for you to figure out. What's the results of the Surrey school measure going to be?
Let me take a look. I can pull that up for you here.
As of
earlier,
yes, great.
I saw it was winning.
We have a big dump here.
Do we? Is
All
that
right.
in?
No, for the May. No, we don't. Never mind. It said that we did, and then it all went away. No, there we go. It just didn't refresh right. All right, here we go.
All right.
Stephen Pajagula has 2,836 votes. John McMartin has 2,688 votes. Eric Locken has 2,343 votes. Joan Hawbaker's at 2,277 votes. There is a 0.44 difference between those two candidates right there for third place on council.
Wow.
That's crazy. This is 5,600 total votes in. It still says that the four precincts are partially reported, but this is close to the total vote number that we'll have.
Yep, we're finally getting a lot closer to where we're going to be. There could still be a little bit of change. I think that third, fourth spot in council is about the only place you could see that at this point. Maybe I think McMartin and Pajagula are probably going to be close to getting on at this point. It's still too early to say for sure, but
so just to read out the rest of the results: Locken 2,343, Hawbaker 2,277, Nicole Brassfield 2,164, Isaiah Kelly. I can't talk. Isaiah Keller, 1,626 votes, and David Wiley, 1,076. 60 write-ins.
Hey, I'll take it as a win. So with the Surrey school district side of it, you had measure one for them is passing about 74% of the vote, and you have measure two passing with about 60% of the vote. So a little bit closer there, but I know one of them is to help with a lot of new additions to the Surrey school.
For the Minot City measure, that is up 57% to 42%.
Sounds like that one's probably getting close to being where the Park District wants it to be. So District 3, we have Blaine DeLoyers in first at 517 votes, Tim Mahalik in second at 505, then Hoverson in third, and then Crystal Hendrickson.
How much does Hoverson have?
411.
So 505, 411. So that's 100 votes. That's not all that close.
Not at all.
There we go. We were just waiting for the goal.
Dang it, I did it.
Zach Lutz, 9-6. Harlan Williams made sure everyone heard every drink he took his last time on the Rogan podcast. Kyler's just getting the comedic effect.
Exactly.
No worries.
I just want everybody to know that we're here for a good time.
Okay, I got you. There you go. It's so nasty though.
It's just amplified because you still got the headphones on for you.
Okay. Wait to call me out. Jordan Geyer, 194. Hopefully the 60 write-ins were Kyler.
I appreciate you, Jordan. I think you texted me too, didn't you? What'd you say? We're looking at, just again, for heads up for anyone that's looking, if you do want to see the results yourself, you can go to results.
No, you have to go to mydakotan.com. No, I'm kidding.
You have to go to YouTube where you're already watching us and keep watching. Resultsnd.sos.nd.gov, and you'll find a very cool interactive map that they have out now. I am loving every bit of it, frankly.
All right, so what happens next for this Ward County race? Or if not Ward County, but the city council race?
I see we got a couple more that are still coming in, but I think
Yeah, but we did this last time, and then
it ended up.
It didn't change.
It was the same. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then everything has to be canvassed and verified, correct?
Yep. So I think that you have two very experienced people that are going to be coming in. They wherever they stand politically is a different thing, but I don't think that they're going to be stepping in and not knowing what they're doing. I think they'll be able to get going right away and be competent in going right away. Again, politics aside, I think those two should be able, McMartin and Padragula, should be able to step in and be able to be city councilman right away. For Eric, if you're watching, shout out. You're going to have to get ready to learn on the job. It's going to be a lot to do here in the next few months. We have a massive budget project coming up, and frankly, beyond the ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the part of the night where things begin to wind down for us. We probably won't stay until every single county is reported and every result is in. Our focus definitely is the minor races. But we are still continuing to track the statewide ones. And specifically, if I can find it, the PSC race where we now have 50,000 total votes in, 194 precincts fully reported out of 358. Jill Kringstead is up 54% to 45%.
I think it's about at the point where Kringsted's probably getting pretty safe at this stage now.
Yes, I would agree. One other thing that I would like to do, though, is head on over to Cass County.
That's where I was thinking, look about that. They're still at 1,400, so that's still got a lot to go in Cass County still. Burley's still at a hair under 12,000, so we still got Burley is fully reported at 12,000 votes. So Burley is all the way in right now. So we can go ahead and make a final determination on who's going to be in the legislature in District 7. It will be Michelle Axman as the senator, and it will be Greg Vetter and Steve Souter as the House candidates.
All right, read us some vote totals.
We had for Michelle Axman coming in at 57.8% of the vote with about 1,540 votes total. Then you had Greg Vetter at 31.4%, Steve Souter at 28%, Rick Becker at 22.5%, and then Galen Becker at 17%.
6%. It's crazy.
Yeah, 1,433 to 1,151 votes gap between Becker and Souter. So where he thought some of that name recognition might be able to come and play and help support him a little bit, looks like it might be moving on to the next step for District 7 at least.
Yeah.
Which by doing that means they're staying in the same step that they've been in. But
that's the
next step from Rick Becker. Yes.
Yes. The late night analysis you get from Kyler Collom.
That's me.
All right. Well, we're going to go to a nice shot of Kyler, and he's going to fill you in for a couple minutes as we wait for our next dump coming maybe around 9:50.
I'm hoping so. So I'm going to take a quick peek here. Looks like as of right now, we've got a few, I'll do another update just to make sure everyone knows for District 3. Blaine DeLoyers, Tim Mahalik are currently leading. Jeff Hoverson and Crystal Hendrickson. Blaine DeLoyers in first at about 517 votes. Mahalik in second at 505. Then you have Hoverson at third at about 411 and Crystal Hendrickson and fourth with 386. Again, feels like there's going to be quite a few, at least a few more votes to come in for that one, but starting to get a little bit more settled as well. District 5, looking over here, just total votes cast so far. We have, 523 and 518 for Kyle Erickson and Zach Racknerud, and then we have 1,402 for Scott Lauser and 1,216 for Roger Brabant. So really interesting to see how these have kind of started to shake out, and obviously these are very in line for where we expect a lot of the numbers in Minot to be. Let me take a zoom out and see. Is that all? Nope, not fully. I thought it said fully. I got my hopes up. Again, I've been doing that too much tonight. I apologize. I'm really interested to see some results come from Williams County. That's one that we haven't had anything from yet. Let me look at Burley's mayor race. That'll be interesting. Got to go up to Burley here. Excuse me. I apologize. Burley County. Here we go. Commission president looks like Mike Schmitz is going to be the next mayor of Bismarck at just about 600 vote margin over Steve Marquardt. For commissioner in Bismarck, it looks like Amelia Dahl and Matthew Hull are the top 2 vote getters over Trevor Vanette. And then you have Bismarck's measure 1 is going to be passing with a 2-to-1 margin. And then, that gets us out of Bismarck at that point. So interesting to see how that one kind of played out there. And then one other one I will take a quick peek at here is the county commissioner race in Burley County, which is a very contested race itself. It looks like Kayla Coe and Mark Splonskowski are going to be the top 2 vote getters, with Wayne Munson, Mark Wagner, Steve Schwab, and James Small and Mike Manstrom all following in line. So that one is a very tight race as well. One that has gotten a lot of talk around the Bismarck and Burley County area. Welcome back, Jonathan, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Been here the whole time.
And Mark Splonskowski is the former auditor of Burley County. There was a big mess that all happened last year with him, and he is now an elected member of the Burley County Commission. So no worries with that. He is where he's at this point. And let me take another peek out statewide. See, it's at 950. See if we got another.
It goes closer to 951. Takes a couple minutes after 950 to.
Of course. I just want to see might not be full, and we can call it at that point. I really want to see numbers for Williams. I want to see where they're going to start to go, at least, especially for their district race. That'll be very interesting. If Charlotte Moore gets into the House, that would be a really interesting switch up to have going down to Bismarck.
There's your update. It's now officially updated at 950, but looks like no results changed. Man, that's just very, very close between Eric Lockett and Joan.
Yeah.
So it was last time we had a city council race.
Yeah, when we had you had Scott Samuelson narrowly beating out Mike Geetson for 3rd place, and very, very tight race. And we, again, I think that was the big thing we were able to call, is that this would be a very tight race, and it certainly is. Cass County still at 1,400 votes. Grand Forks is up to 4,000 votes. Then Burley, like we were saying, is fully in. So we are just waiting for Ward, and I would like to see Cass County's final numbers start to come in, but I got a feeling that the Cass County numbers are probably all like either absentee or early voting numbers that they had and were able to put in right away. And now we're waiting on their very large dump that's going to come in. Because it sounded like when we had Jared Hendricks on talking earlier that Cass County had a very high turnout. I think I saw something on the Ward County or North Dakota Monitor as well, mentioning a high turnout rate in Cass County as well. But outside of that, checking out the monitor again here, it looks like, they only have, they have called the Fedora check race, a couple others. Is there anything else statewide? No one's called the Kringstead Chris Olson race yet. That one's still open. Of course, District 7's all called, and then everything else is still technically up in the air. So a lot still to be technically decided, but it's looking like a lot of things have really started to take shape into which way they're going to end up going at this point.
For sure. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how council goes. Mm-hmm. Because if these results hold true, it's not. So right now, my opinion, I mean, obviously you have to vote yes or no, right? But right now we have a divided council that's been talked about. It's basically a 4-3 vote, and you have maybe 1 or 2 people that will swing to either side. But if these results hold, I don't even know how that breaks. I know on some of the stuff how it breaks. We know from the council interviews that we've done and from the debates and all that how it's going to go. Just like on budget and things like that, where it's been talked about increasing the property tax levy and all that. So that's going to be some difficult conversations that I had. And if the property tax levy does increase in Ward County, because of the city of Minot, there's going to be a lot of citizens that are going to be very frustrated by that, because there has been a lot of talk by citizens how they don't want to see that happen, where I'm just talking about increasing from the current amount, not even decreasing, just maintaining that 21 mil on the property tax levy.
It's going to be a very difficult point for Minot coming up. Like you were saying, that being able to stay under $21 million in revenue from property taxes is going to be an interesting development for Minot. Just bigger picture, if the Ward County City Library end up merging or not, that'll be an interesting discussion point going forward for him as well. But that will end up being a vote this fall, more than anything that the council or county commission can do there. But again, this is going to show. I don't know how this is going to play out for a council coming up. I don't know what they're going to end up doing.
This isn't. I guess it's close. I didn't anticipate to break this way.
Sure.
It still followed the segments, but it feels like Pajagula and McMartin were actually a segment, which is an interesting thing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, we'd mentioned that a little earlier tonight, where it was seeming like maybe people are actually voting for them and then having a third person coming in, and maybe that ended up being Eric Locken more than anything else. Or on the flip side, to go back to our original
I think it was a lot of people.
Yeah. That original conversation where Eric Locken and Stephen Pajagula might be on the same ballot. Maybe a lot of those people's third ballot was John McMartin. And I mean, clearly just the way the numbers are breaking, Stephen Pajagula was that person on the majority of people's ballots.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. Do you have any perspective on even maybe the budget process as that's incoming?
Yeah, I really think that Minot's going to have to decide if we're okay with continuing the road we're on to cut the property taxes and to actually make a noticeable difference in people's pockets at home. Because if we are, we're going to end up losing services in the city of Minot, which maybe we need to. Maybe we need to cut back a little bit in town on some of the services we have, and maybe we are a little bloated in some departments across the board. But on the flip side, if we don't think that that's the case, then we're going to have to really reevaluate the path we're going down right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of turmoil that's going to be coming up. I think, and turmoil might not be the right word, but a tumultuous road ahead is going to be coming up, I think, for us.
Comment from a couple of people. Zach Lutz, 96. There's result leans away from the Fuller Blessum Samuelson pack, in my opinion. Angel Dog, 4895. Good old boys continued. I wanted change, and obviously it's not going to change, in my opinion. Only city council going to be rough, difficult for sure. There are going to be a lot of big conversations happening. Randy Monley makes a great point. Property tax have so much to do with Minot Public Schools than the city. At this point, I would agree, although I think that any increase will be felt by a lot of people, and there'll be a lot of input that's on that. Well, but I totally agree that the Minot Public Schools carries the weight of that property tax
100%.
now. But that comes after the city lowering their levy by, their total property tax amount by 8 mil.
Yeah. The mill levies went down quite a bit over the last 2 years, but the dollar amount is the bigger thing to look at. And we've went from, upper 20s down to just a little over 20 million now. So
the Ward County State's Attorney race, Andrew Schultz is leading the charge. 57% to 41%. Of course, both of these candidates will move on to the election in November, but still kind of gives an early indicator of what that race may look like.
Yeah.
He has 3,457 votes to Christopher Nelson's 2,489 votes.
Like Andrew was saying, just a way to have kind of a little barometer onto where he's going to be going forward the rest of this summer at this point.
Absolutely. 3 minutes. We'll get one more
dump an update here.
Yeah, and then we'll probably begin to wind down. We do appreciate everybody that did join us for election night.
Y'all are the best.
Had a lot of fun. And so obviously we were focusing on Ward County. Hopefully around that 10 o'clock, we also get the Cass County, because it would be cool to see some resolve to the early conversation we had with mayoral candidate there, Michelle Turnberg.
Undoubtedly. And I think we're at the point now, we've had, 5,600 votes have been cast for the Minot City measure for Park Board. And I think in general, that probably means that most of the Minot numbers are probably in. We might have a few stray numbers to pop in from across the county at this state, but think the vast majority of Minot has probably been counted.
I think one thing though that gets highlighted almost every single election is how much your vote matters.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about between third and fourth place, 66 votes or something like that.
Yeah, it's a bare minimum number at that point, and it's really going to be interesting to see how they kind of fully come together for a council. But again, 2 years ago, very, very tight race for that third spot. You go back 4 years, it was only a 4-person race for 3 spots at that point, and just the nature of the game, it's going to be close at that stage.
You know what's funny? I'm just looking at numbers here.
Yeah.
How many write-in votes are there?
I would have to scroll.
60.
60.
There's 66 vote margin between third and fourth place.
It's hilarious.
You find that hilarious?
I do.
Kyler hopes he messed something up.
Played spoiler. I don't care.
He doesn't care. But it's not 66. So
it's true. It's a little off. It's what, 5, 6 off? Perfect amount.
It's not a big number.
No.
Yeah, 5, 6. It's the number that you
signatures I needed. Anyways, let's see.
Mr. Go Beeves 10.
Go Beeves.
The decrease in mill levy is largely smoke and mirrors. Balancing our budget by pulling from reserves is unsustainable. Operating essential services is never going to get any cheaper. So I understand what you're saying, that the decrease was pulled from reserves, and there's a conversation that can be had about that. But the fact of the matter, though, is the amount that the taxpayer had to pay in did go down, and so that part is not smoke and mirrors. Whether or not it was decreased in the best way, that can be debated all day long, and every council is going to have a different perspective on that. But if there is an increase in property taxes, there's going to be full city council chamber.
Yeah, it will, without a doubt. And you'll see, one way or the other, you're going to see that place be packed for those kinds of things. And I expect this budget cycle to be very tumultuous. I expect it to be very heated at times. And I really look forward to seeing how they're going to navigate it, because you did make a good point there as well. You can't just keep using reserves to help balance out the budget. So we are at a point.
And council was aware of that.
Yeah.
All right, we got some numbers.
More numbers.
We have some numbers in from Fargo. 6,300 votes total right now. So I'm sure they still have a lot more that they will be collecting. Josh Boucher is leading the way, 41% with 2,647 votes. Michelle Turnberg is in second place at 2,149 votes.
Wow.
So
incredibly close race.
500 vote difference. That is going to be a tight one. Obviously, as more of those votes come in.
Yeah, we're going to be really interesting to see how that one finally plays itself out there. Obviously, Michelle and Josh, very different ends of the political spectrum between the two of them. Be very, very different governing styles, I would have to imagine. Michelle, we've seen a little bit of at least her philosophy on, the county or the city commission.
Yep.
And Josh has been a legislator for a while now, so we've had a way to kind of see where he stands too. And I think that's just more proof that, we're going to see a very different style of whoever gets elected in Fargo.
Great point by Randy. If the park gets sales tax, that takes out the 13.59% for property taxes that they get. And so there will be a small decrease from that. Mr. Go Beeves, correct, but foresight should tell us that we can't supplement our budget with reserves forever. Eventually, that tap runs dry. It's the reality of the situation. Agreed. And I don't know the how.
And that's what I think is the biggest part of what comes next. It's how do we get to that balanced budget in the next, maybe it doesn't have to happen this year, but by next year for sure. And you have to make considerable steps towards it this year as well. You have to find ways that you can start cutting from the budget to be able to balance these numbers out. And
Zach Lutz, we'll miss you. Have a good night. Thanks for chiming in.
Thank you all.
Enjoyed your comments. Red 5, stay on target. Where can I find my election results? Well, best place to go is just search in the Secretary of State. There'll be elections, and then you can just go down, find election results, and there you'll have results for the entire state, including your favorite city in North Dakota, Minot.
It's Minot.
All right, very good. Well, we're going to come to a close here. We're wrapping up here as most of the races that we've been tracking have really coming down to the end here. Let's run through why don't you run through the state? I'll pull up a couple of those district races and then we'll
start getting ready to call it a night at this point.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, Jonathan. So pulling up the state races again, keep in mind, I think the races themselves are largely probably going to be where they're at this point, but the total numbers could end up, changing a little bit here.
Go, because we have a breaking sad news.
Take yours.
District 15. Kristen Foley, 9 out of 9. It looks like we might have the total votes in. And Kristen Kinner did pull in front of Kit Weston, 1,239 to 1,198 votes.
Wow.
That's a difference of 40 votes right there.
That's incredible. That's wild.
Something. And then that means that Kathy Freelick was what Jared Hendricks said, that most likely they would pull ahead. She did, 1,936 votes, and Corey Kinner did beat out Donna Henderson. Again, Precincts Foley, 9 out of 9. It just looked like that is final.
Goodness gracious. Wasn't expecting those numbers to come out of that one. I think the District 7 was definitely foreseen in Burleigh County a little bit, but hearing that one in 15 was definitely a little bit more surprising. Anyways, for the statewide races, it looks like Julie Fedorchak will be the Republican nominee. We're going to have Sherry Augen Hoffert almost certainly is going to beat Devin Stachinsky. And then it almost certainly looks like Jill Kringstead is going to beat Chris Olson for that abbreviated PSC term. And then outside of that, the only other ones, it looks like Levi Bachmeyer is going to take over 50% of the vote in the superintendent race. Jared Tufte should still be, he's at 65% of the vote. He's going to win that Supreme Court seat. And then the constitutional measure number 1 has 2/3 of the votes in favor, so that will pass.
Very good. District 31 still only have 3 out of 15 precincts fully reported. Mary Greener still leads 54% to 45%, just over 100 vote difference there. And then Dawson Hawley is leading the way on the House side with Karen Rohr in second. Angel Dog 49895 says, what races go to November in Minot? So basically you have all your district races that are going to go to November. Of course, your city races are all determined already. And you have your Ward County State's Attorney race that's going to go to November as well.
Couple other interesting ones here. I just want to point this one out now.
Another thing that will be on November is school lunches.
Yeah, that's true. That'll be a big one. City council race in Des Lacs is currently separated by 1 vote.
Yes. There you go.
Scott Hamill is beating Christopher Sunsbach.
Your vote matters.
30 to 29. So
insane. That
one is incredible. Yeah. And there's another for Donnybrook's city council is currently separated by 1 vote for Jason Keene over Christine Gettle.
Okay.
So we have I think the big thing is make sure you get out and vote, folks, no matter where you're at, what you're doing. These things do count, and these things can come down to the wire here.
All right. We're going to stay on for 4 minutes till we get one last dump, and then we're done.
That's fair. City council race in Makoti is currently tied at 16 votes apiece. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
They're probably waiting on a dump still, right?
Probably. It's got to be, right? I mean, maybe only 32 people voted in Makoti. I don't know.
That'd be crazy.
That would be.
That's like each person's family.
Yeah.
And it's North Dakota.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. It's a way of saying I'm not right.
Yeah, you're not. I'm not saying nothing.
What you saying?
There is 7 write-in votes for Surrey City Council, which is 10 votes behind Tammy Heinsack.
What did you think? There was a post that came out that we never talked about.
What's that?
Over in Surrey.
Yeah, they were announcing that it was
on the Surrey City page.
They were announcing it was voting day, and they had included a little tidbit about their current mayor running for District 3 Senate.
And the graphic was just D3.
Yeah, I guess the graphic was just announcing that Surrey is in District 3.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
That's kind of different.
A little bit, not without a doubt. Did you announce who are, obviously, it's not like it was a contested race, but Mitch Kraft is going to be on the school board again here in Minot, as well as the other, if I could pull it up.
So
Matt Bianco, go ahead.
Well, on the city sales tax, is the mill levy going away for the park district, or is it just decreasing?
It's decreasing.
It's not going away.
Not in full. No.
That's something that's important to remember on that. It's not completely going away. It's just decreasing.
Yeah.
And that's not something that, I mean, in theory, another taxing authority could go and fill that gap, but it's not like it's in play where somebody can be like, oh, now there's an available X amount of mill levies that we can now steal.
Yep.
Each taxing authority has to stay within the rules that the state sets for them.
And what this effectively does is it caps themselves under where they're already capped at. They're just changing their own cap for themselves.
Right. And it's a 20-year deal on
Yep. Yep. Where you will see a decrease, but yeah, it's one of it has the chance to come back in the 2040s. But again, looking at the Minot races, Mark Janser will be mayor again for another 4 years, and then you have Stephen Padragula, John McMartin, and Eric Locken looking like that will be our new 3 members of the city council.
Is there any way that because there's only 40 votes, so do you think that there's any way that changes? Jennifer Collom, thank you, friends. The Anticipation Company has been a hoot. Hey, thanks for
appreciate you guys watching,
hanging out. Yeah.
And Farron Terry will lose to Ashley Beal for the Minot Municipal Judge race as well.
So is there any, because that's so close, is there any way that gap gets changed?
I mean, I guess you can't entirely rule out that there will be, enough absentee ballots that might have to be counted tomorrow morning kind of thing, maybe.
But it's almost slightly unprecedented with that margin.
Yeah, I think we'll be at the point where Eric Locken, John McMartin, and Stephen Padragula are going to be our next 3 city councilmen at this point. And
Zach, you're right. The other entities are still tied to the 3% cap, so shouldn't be able to assume the difference, although the city can go up by like massive amount because they can have a 3-year look back, so they could still go up to $28 million.
Yeah, and go steal from pretty much take their budget from a couple years ago and just replan it.
Yep. So very cool. Well, we got that last update, so we'll run through this and then we will sign off for the evening. Just looking quickly at the results over in
Cass County there.
If I can get there, sorry.
I understand. It's difficult sometimes.
Fargo is still at 6,000 votes, so they're going to be in for a long night. We'll let them figure that out in Fargo.
Yep.
But here in Minot,
same with Williams County. And McLean County. That's the one I don't understand. What are we doing?
Paul, we'll get you District 3 numbers. Those are final.
Yeah, those are going to be final now for sure. I think it's going to be, Tim Mahalik and
Bob Paulson. Of course, he's in. You got Blaine Deloriers with 570 votes. He led the way. Second place, Timothy Mahalik, 505 votes. So those most likely will be the 2 that will move on. Jeff Overson had 411 votes, and Crystal Hendrickson had 386 votes. So pretty tight race, but 100 votes is a lot.
Yeah,
and you have a total of 1,500.
Yeah, especially in that kind of legislative district race like that. That's a place where maybe they could pull a couple other votes out for when they fully report is something like that. But I don't expect it to be enough to be switching anything.
Very good. Well, appreciate everybody that jumped on to our Election Day live stream. It's been a blast having you on, watching, listening, commenting. It's been a good time. We're going to be live Thursday morning, 9 a.m. We're going to actually jump into this as far as what the next part for City Council. Definitely going to be an interesting time for sure. But do appreciate everybody for their support. Be sure to like, subscribe, join that decoding community. We got fresh content coming your way all the time. In the meantime, hope you have a wonderful evening.